All right, welcome everybody to the Wrestling Ring on the Comic Wrestling Podcast. I'm Deadly Dave.
Yep. I'm Ace Williams!
This episode is going to be too sweet.
Too sweet.
Because we are going to do a watch-along of the one and only nWo pay-per-view sold out from January 1997.
I should have had a sign that said sold out instead of just nWo for life. You know,
we're all nWo'd out.
There's a Sting banner, and I know it's TNA. It's not WCW, but you know what? They're basically the same company in a sense.
Pretty much,
because they all have the same guys in them. If you think about it, and I'm not talking about Sable.
But this is actually a show that Ace has never seen, so this will actually be kind of cool
I died,
to watch.
so I'm never going to see it.
All right.
I died. Carry on, my wayward son.
Died like his phone.
Yep, my phone has died, which is a horrible thing to have happen, but whatever. I got my white and black boas, because, you know...
I've got my Hulk Hogan merch that I bought from his shop down in Clearwater, Florida.
I got these at Walmart.
Appreciate that.
Wasn't yours. No,
it all goes together. It's the same company, so.
Alright.
You ready to get it started?
Yeah.
Alright.
How long is this all together?
About 2 hours and 45 minutes, something like that.
2:40? Right there it says?
Yeah.
I'll teach you how to read. It's okay. We'll get through this together.
Of course, they come in, it's all black and white at the beginning, which is...
See, I want to do a cool video like this.
Yeah. But they're coming in on garbage trucks, which is interesting. I think they're carrying WWE's current storylines in those trucks.
They're definitely current, right? I was gonna say because WWE storylines were great. I've never seen this. I'm very excited to see this.
And just, I love how they can come up with cool concepts like this,
right?
And then screw other things up. Like it's amazing to me. I think if Bischoff, I mean, he got business ideas, but I think if he had more, I mean, yeah, he worked for the AWA and shit, but if he had more booking experience, I think it would have been better for him.
You know, I just think, like, because I'm kind of sentimental, like, I have a weird, like, a personal thing in my own head psychologically of, like, letting go of certain things that had whether or not it had a meaning or not, just sentimental. I would personally not, I don't know how I would handle it. Like, if I was Eric Bischoff now, I would hate, I wouldn't say I would hate life, because I'd be very appreciative and very, like, wow, look what we've done. But it'd also be in the same vein of, like, fuck, man, like, look at the cool shit. Like, one thing, it's not like you're doing a movie where you're filming a movie for 9 months and then the final product comes out and everybody's been done hanging out or filming it since the final product came out. This shit was daily for them to come up with this, to think of this, to live this, and then it was weekly to present it. I couldn't imagine that just, like, stopping one day.
And then now it's like 20 years later, and you're looking back at it, and you're like, well, fuck, I could have done that, I could have done this, we could have changed that. Yeah. You know, we had it going so well, and, you know, what did we do wrong? You second guess it. Yeah.
Like, this just feels like, man, I wish I could have lived in this moment with these guys. Like, I really wish I grew up watching nWo when I was a kid, but it's cool now as an adult because I've never seen, well, I don't want to say I've never seen it, but I've never seen most of it.
And it's this kind of stuff that would make people flip back and forth with the channels.
Yes.
Because it was so completely different. Like, if you're a casual wrestling fan, and all of a sudden you see Hogan in white and black like this,
right,
you're going to stop and be like, what the fuck?
What the hell is this?
You know?
Exactly.
Oh, Hogan's got my shirt on, the son of a bitch.
And that bandana. And they're all wearing my nWo logo.
But just the whole concept of it being grainy with the black and white, and that had completely different feel. It just...
Yes.
Even though you had the WWF stars like Vincent and them involved and stuff, it felt so counterculture.
Well, I mean, it was like it was so different because WWF, even at this point in the '90s, was colorful.
Yeah, it was all cartoony.
Everything was colorful. There, that's what made Undertaker stand out amongst all of them, was the fact that he was so different than anyone next to him that of course you're going to be drawn to him.
Yeah.
Where you've got people like Maven and Jesus Christ, like Orlando Jordan and those mid-card guys that all looked the same. And then, of course, like I said, you got someone like Undertaker that did stand out, that wasn't the colorful... Jimmy was a character, but he wasn't that. And then you got this, where all these guys stood out, even though they were all in the dark, drab colors, because it was so different than anything you'd seen up to this point.
Yeah. And at this point, cool. Austin is starting to come into his own a little bit, but still, it was still completely different from this product.
Yeah.
So he definitely had good ideas. It was... And also, he had to fight against the corporate structure that didn't want wrestling to begin with.
Right.
They liked the ratings and the ad revenue, but they didn't like the fact that it was part of their company.
Yep.
So you're constantly... And you were dumb enough to sign these guys to contracts where they had creative control. I get that was the only way you could get Hogan. But after a while, you got to be kicking yourself like, well, fuck, now I'm going to be fighting this every time I come up with an idea. He's going to be like, well, I don't want... That doesn't work for me, brother,
That was cool.
I always thought this was like, if you were to create an nWo set in the game, this is what you would create. Something that looks like this. With a just, maybe with the mat and like,
well,
just, you know what I mean? Like,
common sense. I mean, that's a general arena. The only real difference was just the podium. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to make an nWo arena, you really can't make it anything different than what your mind would allow you to, is just black with the nWo logo all over everything. Because I made an nWo arena and it didn't look a single thing like this. Like this would not be my first thought. Can we get sued for this sound?
Maybe.
What would the sound be through? Would it be through your laptop? Or is it through my TV?
It's through your TV, because it's going through the
That's not very loud then for being on 30. That could be because I have the AC and shit on. Is that supposed to... Oh, New World Order, okay.
Yeah. Like, I like the look. It's different than anything WCW was doing at the time, too.
Oh, absolutely.
The one thing that I always thought was funny is, like, they have WCW guys come out into the crowd at one point and just sit and watch the show. Like, why wouldn't you have them... Why wouldn't they have attacked all the NWO guys like NWO guys have been attacking them?
What was the storyline to build up to the NWO's own pay-per-view?
They had won the world... The War Games match, so they could make any demands that they wanted, and WCW had to do it.
Oh,
so if they wanted their own show, if they wanted... They got, like, supposedly 75% of the pay-per-view revenue so they could buy new stars and shit. So... They could just do this, like we're gonna make our own pay-per-view.
And the ratings weren't good for it? Is that why
people thought that the way it was carried off with Bischoff and DiBiase doing the commentary, and it just a lot of people say it just wasn't a good show overall. So.
Well, now what you're going to have NWO guys versus NWO guys, right?
No, they go against a lot of WCW guys.
So that goes to your point of, like, why wouldn't you have the WCW guys?
Yeah, why wouldn't they run in and attack people? You know what I mean?
Because that was going to be my next question was, like, well, why are the WCW guys there anyways? But that makes sense.
I mean, I get you're trying to show superiority with the NWO guys beating WCW guys, so.
But build it up.
Yeah. I do like how they have, the guy that does the NWO voice kind of doing intros, but it's funny when because he makes fun of the WCW guys, but
I like the idea of the voice for the NWO announcing these guys, but it's not. It doesn't catch you.
Yeah.
It's one tone, so you're not looking out for it. If you didn't hear it, you didn't hear it, and you just thought, okay, well, that was just something over the PA.
And of course, you got Nick Patrick being the referee for all the matches.
Which would make sense, because if it's an NWO thing and he's like your NWO ref.
Yep. The one thing I think is they do too many skits with like these biker women and shit, and I think they do too much talking in this, but they were trying to make it look different. But,
oh, absolutely, and I give that credit. Just like if AEW, I mean, clearly tried stuff like this, which they have. They've tried weird out of the box thinking. Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the audience, in my opinion, and the timing of it.
Yep.
Like if they did this, maybe like a year later, year and a half later, maybe have the Wolfpack involved, and you had the split, and then you tried doing your sold out, play off the idea of like your soul has been sold out, you're not really the NWO, you guys are the Wolfpack,
yeah,
and make it, because then maybe this would have picked up, but
and like you didn't, Flair was injured, so you really couldn't have him in a high profile spot.
I'll be honest, this is the first time I've ever even seen this guy.
Masachono?
Yeah,
he was big in Japan, but
is that how he made it to the NWO?
Yeah, because they did like an NWO faction over in Japan. Like the Great Muta was in it.
Right.
There was a couple of course they had Scott Norton over there because he was big in Japan, so he was part of it. And Buck Bagwell would go over and team with Norton over there all the time. They made shitloads of money selling those NWO shirts over in Japan.
I'm pretty sure
just like the Bullet Club ones.
I'm pretty sure that's not Nick Patrick. I'm 100% sure that's Danny McBride. Because he looked just like Kenny Powers right there from Eastbound and Down. I don't know if you've ever seen that show.
I know about it, yeah.
He looks just like Danny McBride. Hey, fuck you, Franco!
And like now, if it was me, I would have brought a shitload of NWO shirts and just given them to everybody in the fucking crowd.
Oh, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all these people in Iowa that are just wearing their fucking regular shirts, I'd have been like, here's a free shirt. You know, wear it. You know,
right?
It would have looked so cool.
Yep.
Because you've got a few interspersed for people that bought it, but it just, you know, or have them hold. Because I mean, at some Nitros they dropped, you know, flyers from the ceiling with the NWO logo on it. Do shit like that, you know, so at least people have something with the logo to hold up to the camera.
That would be cool.
See, because like now, the first match, Sherry is walking out. So Harlem Heat is with her. Why wouldn't they jump the rail and start beating the shit out of somebody? Just at least, even if they get thrown out, why would they come to just watch the show? It's not like you're intimidating anybody.
Brian Knobs, Arn Anderson.
Like, why wouldn't, you know, Meng be jumping the guardrail to beat the fuck out of somebody?
Michael, Mondo. What was her name? Deborah even in WCW?
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yep.
Was she with Mondo?
Yeah, she was his wife.
Oh, no shit. Maybe I knew that, but then again, maybe I didn't.
And like, you've got a guy with an NWO logo shirt doing security for Arn Anderson. Wouldn't you have like WCW security around them insteed of an NWO one?
Yeah, that's kind of attention to detail.
I mean, yeah, just little things like that you obviously could pick apart, but like they were doing a Miss NWO contest and they picked these women. They have the cameras on the sticks, like they do like a weird angle shot with them. They don't do it a lot. I never liked Bischoff on commentary.
I got used to him when I was a teenager because I would always flip over to ESPN and they had Madison Square Garden Classics on one of the ESPNs, and I would sit there for, I don't know, like 2 or 3 hours watching, the fuck was it, the NWA.
Yeah.
Watching those with TA. Like, back, like, I don't even know why that was on ESPN. I don't know if, was that WWE had a deal with them, like, years ago or something?
Yeah, they might have, yeah.
Because I remember sitting there flicking through TV and then seeing, like, Madison Square Garden Classics. And I'm like, shit, I need to watch this. I mean, it's old as hell, but it's on TV.
Yep.
It's very cool. So I got used to him, like Larry Zbyszko,
Yeah.
and shit like that. I got very used to hearing those guys talk. So by the time, well, I was into TNA at that point anyways, because Larry Zbyszko was a part of early TNA, up until like the later years, I guess. Well, the mid to late years.
Yeah. Like, to me, like, the lights shouldn't be as bright. It should have a completely different feel than a WCW pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It should be a little less lit.
Well, my thing would be, because I'm like when I was looking at the entrance, how they have the podium, and they kind of want it to look like a press conference or like a presidential, whatever the image is. I would have had like big banners draped down that said New World Order instead of a light fixture like that, because that looks cheesy.
Yeah.
That looks really stupid and cheesy to me with all the other creative stuff they could have done. Like you said, they drop shit from the rafters to the fans to hold up during shows. Like, why couldn't you make just cool banners? Or even have like a wall of, maybe not so much the big Titantron like screens, but like have a wall of TVs.
Yeah.
Actually behind you. And then the show is happening on those TVs. Or something, like a little bit, like, and I couldn't imagine the budget for that would have been any more. I mean, Ted DiBiase says you got trillionaire fucking Ted Turner.
See, this match, Chono should have not started this pay-per-view. You should have brought out somebody that was a little bit lighter that could do a high-energy match to start this out.
Right.
Because there's no momentum at the beginning of this.
No, and this is clearly, you can tell this was Jericho's frustrations of being booked and shit like this.
Right, like you couldn't have brought a light heavyweight from Japan over, put an nWo shirt on him, and had him go against Jericho. Right. Because there's clearly no storyline between him and Chono.
No.
You know, so you could have just brought a lighter guy over. Because you use the cruiserweights to start your show off on Nitro all the time. Why wouldn't you use that same philosophy?
What was Pac doing? Who was he wrestling?
Eddie Guerrero in a ladder match for the U.S. title.
That could have been your opener.
Yeah.
Fuck, throw these two in there with them.
Yeah.
Make it a fatal four-way. You got two NWO guys, two WCW guys. NWO guys don't care who wins as long as it's one of those two. WCW guys don't care. So now you basically got a 2-on-2 ladder match.
Yep.
With a bigger guy, some cruiserweight guys. I mean, I'm not gonna claim I know anything about booking because there could be a bigger picture, but from the fucking stories you hear of, well, I didn't really know what the plan was. We just kind of did that.
Yeah.
Okay, well then my idea wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Well, they were building up the ladder match by saying that, Six was like, oh, I've got an advantage because I'm friends with Scott Hall and he's the master of the ladder match, so I know everything that I need to do to win this match.
Okay.
Which actually makes, a
You're
lot of sense.
playing off of something, even though it wasn't your history.
Right.
You're playing it, and then Guerrero, I'm sure he probably said, well, yeah, in like 10 years, I'm going to fight for my son on a ladder. And that's the way it's going to be, and he's not really my son, but I'm going to pretend he is. That was a SummerSlam storyline. Dominic on a pole match. Something like that.
We're surrounded by some of the greatest iron ever assembled in the history of professional.
For some reason, the laptop's not getting any power to it.
I tell you what, it looks to me like referee's got a little fast now.
Where's your battery? Oh, right here. Yep.
It should be plugged in. Referee's in position, checking to make sure the shoulders are flat and that was
Yeah. Plugged in?
Yeah.
Technical difficulties, folks. Just bear with us because everybody has these.
Was it?
Really?
Yep.
We're good. I'm trying to think why that would have been unplugged.
That's how boring this match is. I realized that the laptop wasn't plugged in.
Ha! Well, shit. I should have noticed it right then and there on the bottom of the screen.
I'm glad I was able to think of a way to get this so we could watch it.
Yeah, this is cool. I'm also thinking, wow, that's bad.
Yeah, that was,
When you put these videos up on YouTube, when you play them, like, say this is up on YouTube and it plays, it goes right into the video, right? There's no intro or nothing?
Right.
Is there any way you could put, before the videos, whatever the theme is, like say what we're doing NWO right now and you're going to put on YouTube, just put like the NWO logo with like music for like 10 seconds and then like...
I'll try. I'll play with it.
I was thinking of that earlier. Like I wish I had more involvement in the editing of that stuff because that just seems like it could be fun to play around with. Look at that fucking shitsy thing. Oh man, instant. Look at how little
Look at that. That's a tiny ass table.
It's narrow.
Yeah. That's like a snack table for a fucking barbecue.
Yeah, for your children. That's the kids' table. Look at that little thing. You're gonna miss it. It makes me think of the first Cheech and Chong movie where he pulls out a joint and it's like a fucking toothpick.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a table, man.
I mean, I can see why people don't like this pay-per-view already with the way that you're starting out the show like this.
This isn't even this is a normal match. Like, why is a table even getting involved?
Yeah. Like, I get that Nick Patrick is a crooked referee, so he could probably use it and not get disqualified, but...
Well, that's the other thing of this, the storyline I wanted to mention. If you've got an NWO pay-per-view, and you may not remember it specifically, but when they made their demands, was all the demand was, we just want our own pay-per-view? Was there little details of like saying, we're going to have Nick Patrick be our referee, WCW guys are going to wrestle for us, and if they don't like it, too bad?
Pretty much, yeah. Because, like, Bischoff's like, I run the company, so you've got to do what I tell you to do.
Then what was the point of winning the War Games? To say... Because if...
I think at that point, Bischoff didn't have, like, the executives took him off of TV and stuff, like, he didn't have power, like, the board overruled him at that point.
Okay.
So the NWO had to win that match to get the demands that they wanted. You know, with Bischoff not being in power.
But if he wins... the match, which allows now that gives him full power again.
Pretty much, yeah. It gives the whole organization full power.
Okay.
Over everything.
Because like I'm thinking like if I was a WCW guy and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty stiff looking.
And that was right on concrete too. There's no mat there, just the carpet. So
what was all the red? There's a shit ton of red on the wood. I was thinking it was blood. I'm like, Jesus Christ, no way, but no. Because if I was a WCW guy and I'm like going out there, I'm like, no. Why would I go out there and wrestle with one of the refs? This is to me there should have been like a conflict of interest there.
Like, you know, you're under contract, you have to do what I say, you know, because I'm your boss, but I would be like, well, then I'm just going somewhere else. Like, I'm just not going to wrestle.
Right, and that's clearly behind the screens of the politics. Like, that's real life.
Yeah.
You basically got to go out there and do... Like, look at him, Daniel cried.
Don't talk, Nick Patrick. Stop talking.
Huh.
And Mongo in the crowd.
See, like, it would be cool, like, for... whether... Look at that woman. What a horrible looking person. It'd be cool to have, like, the NWO voice do our podcast. Like, the CWP podcast. Like, that would be cool, like, a video like that.
Like, I would do the replays in black and white or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been cool.
Because this is exactly how WCW did their stuff.
Right.
So you would at least try to make the production look a little different.
Right.
You know,
no, I get that.
You know, in my opinion, but... And I get the concept of having the biker women, you know, kind of counterculture and, you know, but...
I don't. I mean, I get counterculture, but the fuck do bikers have to do with sold out?
Yeah.
You're spelling sold out like it's your soul, but you're playing it to leather and chains. I get the whole idea of like going against the grain and being different, but you're not doing it differently enough in the ways that like you were mentioning. I mean, you put lipstick on a pig. What is it still though? It's a pig. If you put lipstick, tattoos, and all sorts of other crazy shit on a pig, now it's a pig with character.
See, like, I think they did too much of this. Like, just
what are these?
These are like the women that entered the Miss NWO contest. Like,
she's cute. She's cross-eyed. Stop.
One with Hogan, that's actually kind of cool. But...
Here's our own Hollywood. Now, not everybody could be a part of this nWo thing. I mean, we had to find the right women.
Well, she probably was the right one. She's half naked.
Yeah, right. Bischoff, I'm sure.
Right.
You know, made sure that he checked her credentials.
Right. These chicks are totally just looking to get fucked and be put on TV.
They had a place to say that we weren't putting them up. You know what I'm saying? And let's go now to Jeff Katz. Here's the kid that's real. I mean, he's got his work it out.
Who?
Jeff Katz. He didn't last long.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to crown this nWo?
See, I really think they did way too much of this shit. Like, go back to Hogan cutting a promo or the Outsiders or somebody like that instead of doing.
See, we differentiate so much. Like, I gotta say, first you want something different, and then when they do something different, you kind of.
Well, but I mean, I want them to do the grainy promos and stuff, but not. I just think this is. You could have done something other than this.
Like, not that I agree, like that, or not disagree. Like, this isn't my cup of tea. It's different, but if you knew you were going to do this, put more thought into how to do it, opposed to we'll just do it. Because like this does.
Because these women have no idea who the wrestlers are. They don't.
They don't. Right.
Like, you've got a couple people behind them with nWo shirts and then nobody else. You're spending all this money anyways. Have something out in the crowd. Have people just throwing shirts out during the show. Just
You definitely sound like one of those ungrateful internet fans.
I am.
I cannot shake, rattle, and roll that any differently. You definitely sound like one of those internet fans that's, well, you should have done it my way. I 100% get there should have been more effort put into. Who the fuck are these guys?
Jimmy Hart and Hugh Morris.
Oh, because, that name, Humorous.
Yeah.
I do gotta say, Jimmy Hart had some of the coolest fucking jackets, though. But, it just... No one's had any music so far.
Nope. Just the nWo guys. Like Barbarian's clapping.
Yeah, it just... And what I don't get, though, like, my thing is, your nWo was and will always be the hottest thing in WCW besides, like, Sting and Flair. But how do you not put... I mean, I don't know what you would do, but they're definitely, like, how do you not put more effort into your baby?
Yeah. And this is only 6 months into it, too. Like you said, I would have waited and done this later.
Yeah.
When you have a little bit... I mean, I get... You feel like you have momentum and shit, but to think that this could carry it, on its own,
And it's kind of crazy to think, like, this was the only one pay-per-view that had happened. Like, I don't think at any point WCW was like, or Halloween Havoc is the greatest pay-per-view we have, let's keep doing it. To where it's like, well, the nWo, like, you guys thought it was, like, the greatest thing ever. Why not? Even if it wasn't going to be beneficial and make money. I'm just surprised they didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's WCW where they were paying people to just sit home.
Yeah.
So, I mean... I feel like they could have come up with a better name for him, too. Instead of Big Bubba.
Yeah, I mean, and plus that was what he was way back in the NWA.
I just don't... Maybe this is... I don't know if it's stereotyping, but... Just the concept of Bubba. Like, when you think of Bubba, I can't help but think of a big black guy in prison that's going to make you his bitch. Because that's literally, like, what the jokes about prison rape and shit have always been. Like, Big Bubba's going to get you, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think of the prison guard as Big Bubba. Like, if this was SummerSlam 92, 91, Bubba versus Nails, or Jesus Christ, Bubba versus Nails, Big Boss Man versus Nails, I don't know what SummerSlam that was. Was that 92?
Nails wrestled Virgil at SummerSlam 92. He wrestled Nails at Survivor Series.
Survivor Series, that's what it was. If it was Big Boss Man versus Bubba, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, Nails is like, alright, Nails is kind of a shitty name. He's kind of a shitty character, sure. But if it was Bubba, I would have been like, oh, that makes sense. There's like a stereotypical like trope there, you know, like prison guard versus Big Bubba. Now, I've always thought that when I see Boss Man in WCW as Big Bubba. Like, you couldn't have come up with something better than that?
Like they did the Boss when he first came in, which was a clear ripoff.
Right.
He was wearing a black,
right.
Prison, but you could like when he came back to WWF, he had the flak jacket and shit. You could have changed it up like that.
Right.
Make it at least a little bit different.
I would have just left it as just straight Big Boss.
They tried. They did that with calling him the Boss after a while, and then Heenan kept calling him Boss Man on commentary, and WWF put a stop to that real quick. Because he had the nightstick, he had the same shirt, same pants, but it was just black instead of the blue, and he was wearing everything was the same. So
why does it matter if the referee is turned? You're nWo, you're hitting him in the balls. I'm pretty sure Nick Patrick would be like, oh, I didn't see that anyways.
Right. It's your pay-per-view. Why does he need to keep up appearances that he's being an impartial referee?
Right, so maybe my idea of, if I was a WCW guy, I wouldn't go out there because the referee's going to be biased. Maybe that idea's out the window because you're still playing it like it's a regular WCW pay-per-view.
Right, and he's handcuffing him to the top rope, or trying to, And the crowd just does not give a shit whatsoever.
Do you think at any point Big Boss Man will ever get inducted in the Hall of Fame?
I think so.
What about Hugh Morris?
No.
Come on, everybody likes
not with the way he got.
He's a piece of shit.
Released from NXT and all that shit.
Fuck him! I'm Jimmy Hart. Fuck him! That piece of shit.
See, you're starting out this pay-per-view with two just plodding, slow.
And
matches.
I don't think anybody in the history of anything has ever given a fuck about Bill DeMott as a wrestler.
Yeah. Even when they tried to make him, the U.S. champion in 2000, at that point nobody gave a shit about the company anyways.
Nick Patrick didn't see that, huh?
Yeah. He's only biting the fucking chain,
My only thought of why he would do that is because the metal would be nice and cool on his teeth. Other than that, I don't know why you would have done that.
Oh. Oh, that's right. This was billed as a Mexican death match because Conan was supposed to be in it, but he ended up getting injured, so they put Hugh Morris in it instead. So why would you keep calling it a Mexican death match?
That's very, again, stereotypical of that. A Mexican death match because there's a Mexican in it?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it just be called a death match?
Yep.
What makes it so... Well, because there's a Mexican in it. You know, like when you go and you file papers and it asks, are you Hispanic or not? Well, what the fuck does that matter if I'm Hispanic or not?
Yeah.
Like, it's literally specified Hispanic or non-Hispanic. Well, what if I'm Asian? Why don't you care then? Why don't you care if I'm Asian? So a Mexican death match can only be a Mexican death match if there is a Latino superstar in said Mexican death match. Is that's right? So then that means any match with Christian in it could be a Canadian death match.
There you go.
I like this.
And of course, Patrick's doing the slow count. It's actually been a long time since I've watched this, so I've forgotten a lot. I forgot that these two matches started it. You definitely could have done, or even if you brought out, well, I don't know, because you kind of want to save Nash and Hall for later, but you could have done the Steiners against, the Outsiders to start it. Anything that would have, at least the Steiners would be throwing people around, or...
Right.
I think they were riding high at this point, and they were putting more thought into Nitro than they were other things. So they were worried more about ratings than they were other aspects of what they were doing.
And I could see with all these collective minds being together and all these egos of just like, it doesn't matter. And not, like, I can hear Nash saying this. People are still going to buy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Just slap our logo on it. People are still going to buy it. I mean, I feel that way with a lot of things in the wrestling world of like, how the... Alright, people are buying the fucking merchandise, so I guess that's what's keeping it going.
Right. And that's like when the NWO split up and then they did the Wolfpack. A lot of people are like, oh, well, the Wolfpack didn't work. I'm like, the Wolfpack was fucking hot as shit. Mm-hmm. Like, those red and black shirts were everywhere.
Yep.
They outsold the black and white. The reason the feud didn't really work was because you had Nash,
there was way
Savage,
too much.
Sting, Luger. Big names went over to the Wolfpack, and in the black and white, yeah, you had Hogan the head of it, but he really wasn't.
Right.
And then you had like Stevie Ray and Bryan Adams and Hogan's nephew and, Bagwell. You had Steiner, but Steiner really hadn't come into his own at that point.
Right.
As Big Papa Pump. So the feud really didn't matter.
The momentum went with... From what I've seen on DVDs and shit, it went with the Wolfpack because that's where all the energy went.
Nash was the cool guy that you wanted to watch.
Right.
The other guys in it with the white you didn't really care about other than Hogan. So the feud had no steam other than NWO against NWO.
Right.
So it didn't really have legs to last long at that point. And you had Goldberg coming up at that point too. So.
So, Bossman, right. Bossman will turn the referee around so he can hit Bill DeMott in the fucking dick, even though he's in his pocket as the referee. But Bill DeMott can hit him twice in the balls in front of the referee, and it'd be nothing.
Yeah, why wouldn't you disqualify him? You want your guys the NWO guys to win.
Right.
Why wouldn't you automatically just be like, I'm being a good ref, he low-blowed him twice.
Right.
You have justification for that at that point.
Like, if anything, he should have seen Bossman do it and pretended like, oh, I didn't see that.
Right.
To get heat on the referee so people can get more involved in it because, every guy that comes out is just going to get fucked over. Wow. You are a fat piece of shit, Bill DeMott.
Don't make it look like you're trying to save yourself from, making it look good.
You lumpy cunt.
Like Nick Patrick can say, look, I didn't see him use the chain, but I clearly saw him do a low blow.
Right.
Like Jimmy Hart was distracting me when, on replay I see it, but,
I gotta say, at least... didn't they, when they brought WCW in the Invasion, they had Nick Patrick as the WCW ref? And he had a match with Earl Hebner, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do that with this shit? Not so much, say, build up the referees to fight each other, but to have that divide.
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara, where are you with a golf cart?
Right. At least you made it look good.
Right.
Bill DeMott made it look like shit.
He's a big target, and he still looked like he missed him.
And it makes me think of, all these mid-card guys got held down. Well, some of these mid-card guys should have been held down. They were fucking shit.
Yeah.
And
you know what, maybe to our point, if this is a Mexican death match, there are no DQs.
Maybe. But then, like you said, why would you turn your head?
Why would you turn your head? Why would you have moments of distraction if they didn't matter? How? How is there a count out in a Mexican death match? It's pin or submit. I'm just gonna poke holes in this.
I don't understand how somebody doesn't point shit out like that.
Right.
Like, I mean, okay, if you don't want to make a stink, but if you've got a contract, you shouldn't be afraid of losing your fucking job, so say something. Just be like, hey, this is kind of dumb. It's going to look like shit, so why are we doing it?
Well, I'd like to ask WWE creative or whoever, why did you ever see this match with Bill DeMott? So why would you ever, he's the guy that should train our NXT guys? How did he get the credentials when you've got 100,000 people that have been through the company and that are, renowned at just being good fucking people. And then you get someone like Bill DeMott. I understand getting... I'm not even going to think of his name right now, so I'm going to have to just say A-Train.
Oh, I want to say Matt Bloom is his name, I think.
That sounds right. I get him being a trainer or whatever. Like, the dude was huge in Japan after he left China. After he left WWF. Like, he's known with, I don't know, Bill DeMont's career.
And he had a history in your company as well.
Right.
So, and he went through your training to get into WWF and then left.
Right.
So I could get him being a trainer.
And he is, like, beloved as a legit wrestler in China, in Japan, I mean, which is, like, a big deal in the real world of wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big to-do.
He says everyone's got a price. I want to know what's yours, because I got like $1.50 on me. I can say what I wanted to say. Folks, we'll be back with more of Miss nWo Search. Let's go back some more.
She's, like, one of the hotter ones.
Yeah.
Now let's hear Captain Virgil. We need some rock and roll. We need some women.
Oh, they're dancing behind the screen.
She looks like she shouldn't be even looked at.
With like Sapphire dancing back there.
Sapphire, baby! She's all rockin', boppin', black lady. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna jive turkey her ass right to the American dream.
And like you've got the band out there acting like they're playing the music.
Is that
when
what they
they're
were
not.
doing? I was wondering if they were gonna actually play somebody out, or if, okay, they're just there for the look.
Somebody needed to curtain off those, seats if you're not right behind, Bischoff and back when websites used to look horrible. I remember having dial-up.
We had it for a little bit, but I just never gave a fuck. This feels like this shouldn't have been a pay-per-view. This just feels like this should have been a Nitro.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like they're just hanging out calling the match, which I'm not gonna hate on that. I mean but it doesn't feel like I should have paid $60 for this.
Yeah.
At the time of. Is that Double J?
Yep.
I like it. This is like very soon after his leave with WWF, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
He was always one of the guys that I truly hated, and it meant he was good at his job.
Yeah.
He had that.
Well, let me ask you this: what's the difference between you truly hating Jeff Jarrett as like a kid and liking him now, opposed to hating someone like Randy Orton? What's the difference between the hate? I understand what you're saying.
I don't know. To me, Orton just bores me. Like, Jeff Jarrett was entertaining, I just didn't like him,
Right.
Jeff
Jarrett got you to hate him because that was what he was trying to do.
Orton, I hate him because I'm just tired of seeing him.
I'm just tired of him.
Just tired of seeing him.
And it never changes.
Yeah. Like, Jarrett would change. Like, he did the don't piss me off shit, he would
and then,
change it up.
TNA completely changed him.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? I mean, he did eventually become King of the Mountain, Jeff Jarrett in WCW. Not the moniker King of the Mountain, but the short cropped hair and that singlet, or not singlet, but the silver trunks and shit that he would eventually wear in TNA. He started to adapt eventually here in WCW. But it would have been awesome to see that King of the Mountain Jarrett in WCW.
Oh, yeah.
Like the world heavyweight. Look at this skinny crackhead and fucking Sapphire's retarded daughter.
And they're getting a lot of camera time.
I called him as I see him, folks. I made Jeff Jarrett in the new wrestling game, and I think he looks pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. So this motherfucker can get away with Wall Street. Like that, that's just not even a good name. Why would you just not even pretend to be the same guy anymore? Change it up completely.
It's going to be a great matchup, though. Both of these wrestlers have a tremendous...
Like, I would have called him... Because he probably came in with the DiBiase, right?
Yeah, and he came in, he had, like, the DiBiase looking jacket and stuff, and...
I'd have called him the Banker. Just his name would be Banker. It sounds better than Wall Street. Like, Wall Street is so on the nose.
Yep.
banker to me would be like, you could bank on it. Just so many stupid little things. Like, I mean, clearly Sasha Banks has probably run wild with the fucking puns by now. But, you know, it could have been something a little bit more different than, hey, be IRS but in black.
Yeah, and a guy like him, no offense to him, but he needs a gimmick, some kind of gimmick to work off of. He can't do it just being himself.
Right, Mike Rotunda's not doing it for anybody.
Yeah, like when he was with Kevin Sullivan, he was part of the varsity club, so he was like the football captain, so he had something to play, but this just a generic dude in an NWO shirt that can wrestle.
It's 100% like when they brought Beefcake in and he became Disciple.
Yeah.
You know who it is. It's not a different enough gimmick and or look to make me think he's not the same fucking guy, just in black now.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, oh, we'll bring Beefcake in, we'll fucking give him a beard, people will love it. It's like, it's still Beefcake.
Yep.
I still don't give a fuck.
And I know he's there just because Hogan's there.
Right.
Yep.
And what if, I don't know who's going to listen to this, but how sad does it have to be Beefcake? Like, you have no claim to fame other than the fact of, like, Hogan got you the job. And everybody knows that in the wrestling world. Like, fans to the wrestlers themselves. I mean, maybe they're not as critical, but it's like...
And yeah, you were over when you were the barber, but then everybody goes back and looks and they're like, oh, you had that spot because of Hogan. Okay, well...
And you didn't really do anything other than, like, to me, the most famous thing that Beefcake ever did was he had the barbershop with Michaels turning on Jannetty.
Yep.
Other than that...
And like
Beefcake cut what? Adonis's hair.
That's how he became the barber.
Right, that's how he became the barber.
Yep. And I can't believe I'm saying this. He gave Mr. Perfect his first loss. Yeah. It's scary to think that.
It doesn't count though because of Beefcake. My throat.
See, they're playing it up. Scott Hall was the master of the ladder match, and
did they even do that in WWF where they said Scott Hall invented it?
No. But with Bischoff being, the NWO guy, he's going to say that Hall invented it.
Oh, right on his balls again, right on the balls.
Right in the ding-ding.
Right in his dingy-ding.
Like, the crowd just does not give a shit.
No, because the problem is they want to see the NWO guys. Like the Hall, Nash, Hogan. They want those three.
Yep.
I mean, again, this should have been like a Nitro. Or NWO should have been like, we want our own TV show.
They did that at one point and it got low ratings and they never did it again.
But a pay-per-view with no real rhythm to it other than... We did it! We got our own pay-per-view! It's like... I could picture, like, if WWE did a thing like this, and, like, Nexus ended up winning, like, what they were supposed to, and, like, they got their own pay-per-view. It was a Nexus pay-per-view. I could only imagine the unlimited ideas they would have thrown at that. To where it probably would have been obnoxious, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, did you really need to do that?
Yeah.
But at least there would have been so many things of like, alright, that's okay. Like, I get this. They should have treated Nexus like NWO, where it was more of a cult or a gang that people wanted to be part of, instead of a group that people feared.
Yep.
It should have been like, wow, these guys are so badass. Like, look at our cookie cutter PG. It wasn't PG at that time, but our PG themed company. Let's have these guys. Like, let's not make a resurgence of WCW and ECW in the Attitude Era. Let's have these guys be a modern NWO and let them only their group do edgy stuff to where they're the cool guys now.
Yeah, and guys would be like, well, they bucked the establishment. I've been wanting to do that for years. I'm going to go with these guys.
Right, I'm going to turncoat with these guys.
They beat up Cena, something I've always wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And then make it be like NXT is so anti-establishment. Like, say somebody like Big Show, right? We'll just use Big Show for an example. He's like, I was part of a... He's talking to Warren Baseland. Warren Baseland! That's her new name, Warren Baseland. What the fuck was his name? Wade Barrett, there we go. He's talking to the Nexus guys in the back saying, like, I was part of nWo, the greatest group in the world. You guys should... Like you just said, I've always wanted to do what you guys did. I respect what you guys did. You could use a giant. And then they just beat the shit out of them and say, no, we don't want you. We're our own thing, right? Then the following week, there they are. They confront Big Show. Big Show's ready to beat the shit out of them. Well, wait a minute, big guy. Wait a minute. You took that beating last week like a real champ. Maybe we do have a place in our group for someone like you. Like, initiate people.
Yep.
Don't just allow it to, like, where the nWo... Oh, Conan, you want to be part of the nWo now? This guy, that guy, him. It's like, no, initiate.
Yep.
That way you could get, like, I'm trying to think who was, like, big during that time with the Nexus. Like, say CM Punk before he, like, the new Nexus, right? He's saying to them, like, why don't you guys follow me? I could bring you guys to bigger places. Like, what you're doing and who I am, we could run this place, right? Beat the shit out of CM Punk to make that his initiation. But, we don't want you. That would make me, as a fan, enticed in CM Punk. It's like, well, what's he going to do now?
Yep.
Like, is he going to fight a group of people, or is he just going to keep going his own way? I don't know where you could go long run with that, but you're giving more to these characters opposed to I'm told I have to like them or I'm told I don't like them.
Yeah.
Let me really get involved with why I want to like them or don't like them. Like, I loved that storyline of Wade Barrett, the Nexus versus Cena, being like, Cena might turn fucking heel. Like, that literally was an actual conversation of, like, he might turn heel. Like, the Nexus thing is so big right now. Like, it really... And then...
Because they were building it like it kept looking like he was going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like, Jesus, there might be a change in the tide right now. And
at a time when you really needed something like that,
Yeah.
When the product was down and, yeah.
And then you just killed the Nexus.
And for this nWo with...
there's their ref.
They used way too many mid-card WWF guys just because they had some kind of WWF name value.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they'll recognize them. Yeah, they'll recognize them, but is it really going to have as much of an impact as if you bring a WCW guy over into the fold? Right. Instead of just a WWF guy that they're going to know as a mid-card guy. Yeah.
And just be able to be like, well, I know him throughout the match.
Yep.
Is there any connective tissue?
Like, Buff coming over, I think, was a great thing. Like, he had some personality, and he was a WCW guy that defected.
Right. I agree with that.
Like, the fake Sting thing, I think, was a great idea. Even after they revealed that it wasn't really Sting, I think it was still cool. Because, like, it showed you were delusional, but you were still trying to make it part of your brand that you still had a Sting. Because Jarrett was kind of in the Horsemen at that point, kind of, because Flair was gone.
I don't remember that.
So she's trying to get Mongo to come and help him out in the match.
Okay.
Because Mongo was part of the Horsemen, and they kind of were doing a storyline where Deborah was, hot on Jarrett, so.
Okay, I don't ever remember hearing that Jarrett was ever part of the Horsemen. No shit. Well, there you go. There's some involvement from WCW guys.
But why wouldn't you be doing that all night? The NWO has attacked you for months, and they finally have their own pay-per-view. Why wouldn't you do it too?
Right.
Like, why aren't NWO guys running out to beat the shit out of Mongo?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
You're messing up our pay-per-view. Why wouldn't Bischoff... He's on headset right out there. Why wouldn't he be yelling for guys to come out? Like, why would you give them this spotlight for him to say, he's the winner? And
no, I agree. Oh, I totally agree with that.
Like, I get Patrick pulling him to the ropes, like, because he's the crooked ref.
But where has that been through the other matches?
Yeah. Yep.
And here comes Steve McMichael. Bang!
And like if he was crooked, he wouldn't. Well, I mean, he would be asking him if he quits and looking at shit at the same time to see if something was going to go wrong.
You know, and I gotta say, he's wearing a Chicago Bears jacket. It should not be black and white.
Yeah.
Like, I get the whole black leather, sunglasses, long hair, we look badass. But dude, you're wearing a Bears jacket. Represent with the colors.
Yep. He did that once.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Even if it was black and orange.
Yeah.
But the black and white at a NWO pay-per-view does not... If you're just the average fan and you're at a wrestling show like this because you got free tickets or you got pulled to it from a friend, why did that guy that's dressed like them just beat him up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep. You're not going to draw casual fans into this at all. Yep. Because, like, if you know Hogan, you're going to expect, if you're a casual fan, you're going to expect the red and yellow Hogan. You're not, him being in black and white, you're not, it's not going to draw you to buy the pay-per-view by itself, you know? Bischoff's grandmother is one of the NWO girls.
Is that her?
No, it's just...
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
I taught Bischoff how to drive to Sturgis that one time. That's my boy!
What? How would I explain this?
Well, the miracle eater not turned up, but that's okay. I'm sorry, darling. I'd like to disqualify her.
You can see why that guy didn't last long.
I can see why this didn't last long. But I can't, though. I can't. I mean, I can... Because it's NWO. It should have just sold out. Not sold out. But this just... There's not enough to it to get me... Maybe as a kid I would have been totally into it. But like now knowing I've been like, I'll probably check out the next episode, but why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Like I wouldn't have put money to pay for this.
Like why does he keep leaving?
Right, it's not like he's getting any rest. Like somebody can throw him a bottle of water. You know?
Right.
Like I understand why Riggs was here because he was tag partners with Buff and Buff turned on him. But a lot of these other matches is like there's nothing really going into it. Now.
I don't even know who this is.
Scotty Riggs. Mid-Carter at best. And then he went to like ECW.
And he was in NWO?
No.
Or who was he tag partners with?
Buff.
Oh, okay.
They were the American males, and then Bischoff said, you have like a 1 month window. Anybody that wants to join the NWO can do it. And
Buff said, fuck that.
Yep. So it was the natural rivalry, the tag partners splitting up, and one betrayed the other.
So was this like the first actual match that had some kind of fucking rivalry to it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, there might be actual fucking some structure here.
And he's the guy that's actually got some charisma that can actually do a good match where it's it's kind of high paced.
But I gotta say, I've never, and I will never ever be a fan of this man.
Yeah.
In the sense of, you don't do a goddamn thing for me in the ring. And I totally understand where you're coming from. He's got that energy. He's got way more charisma than maybe he was even given credit for. But juiced up little guy that really didn't do much.
Right.
Didn't do a fucking thing.
Him with Steiner, where he was just like running around Steiner and had the energy and could flex with Steiner, but Steiner was bigger, so it looked visually really cool for him to be with Steiner. Mm-hmm. And he could cut the promos a little bit more until Steiner really developed it more. But him by himself, yeah, I don't think it works a lot at all.
I've watched a handful of interviews with him over the last maybe like 2 years because Hannibal had one. And I'm just listening to it and I'm like, God damn, how do people like you that actually never became anything other than just part of something else, how do you have such a fucking ego? Like you were the end-all be-all.
Yeah.
Like how? You weren't the NWO, you were part of it.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, people are going to bring you NWO stuff to sign just because you were a part of it.
But like even 20 years later, listening to him talk like he was, people loved me, man. Like,
why didn't I get the push? Why?
There's a reason you didn't go to the WWF. Like
you had one match and that was it.
And that was it, exactly. Like, and again, your charisma, you got all the energy and personality for days, but to me, your real life arrogant tool bag persona is kind of coming through. On that. Where we talked about Chris Masters on one of the episodes where we thought, man, he played his character really well. He looked like a douchebag. But it didn't come across real life like he was a douchebag. You assume that he might be a douchebag. Where when I watch fucking Buff Bagwell, I'm like, this guy's just a douchebag that just got a break.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, he's not playing a douchebag. He is a douchebag.
Yeah, he believes his own shit way too much.
Horribly. Yeah. And I could be totally out of line for saying that, but again, fuck you.
And then you get a guy like Luger that had a shitload of success.
But no personality.
Yeah, and is one of the most nicest guys you can meet and has no ego whatsoever.
Zero ego. Which, you know what? I have to be devil's advocate. I like to play both sides. Maybe he's that way now because of his unfortunate life.
That's true.
So he has to, because it's like fat girls, right? Or it's just like fat girls. Like, you got to be nice. If you're a fat girl, you by default have to be nice. Because if you're a bitch and you're a fat girl, you're probably not gonna get dick. Like ugly girls, you got to be nice. You got to be funny. You play to your strengths. So, I'm not saying if things were different that Luger would be a douchebag now. But he kind of, when I was a kid, he just seemed like he was kind of that guy too. Like another one of them. Like I don't know, maybe I'm out of line, but I envision him thinking like I'm like a macho man. I'm right up there with this.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I'm sure he felt like that at one point.
You kind of are. I mean, you're not on the Mount Rushmore of like anybody's wrestling thing, I don't think. But
he's up there with that tier of guys that you think about. That's, I don't want to say iconic, but
I'll say it like this: he is in that group because you got your world champions that you're never gonna like. That literally are like the definition of why you love wrestling, like Ric Flair, Hogan. Even though Hogan isn't a Ric Flair wrestler, like they're not the same. They're together in that same tier because of who they are, that name, what they've done, where they've been. Macho Man is right there with those names. Luger to me would be in the same bracket as Booker T, world champion. Scott Steiner, world champion. You guys aren't top tier, but you're right.
Neck and neck.
Yeah, like if there was no Hogan, there was no Macho Man, there was no Flair, there was no Dusty, you guys would be those guys.
Yep.
You would be those guys.
Luger definitely, because he could cut a promo, just not to Hogan's level or Flair's level. So he had the body and he had the look and some of the charisma.
I just always thought Luger was very monotone is not the word I'm looking for, but he was very. He did have a lot of energy because I remember him getting on the mic and yelling and being very high octane, but. The Lex Express didn't.
Yeah. He did better when he was like tagging with Sting, and he could play off of what Sting was saying.
And have someone else's
like
energy to go with. When he was the narcissist, and I get the idea is to come out, play to you. You're not playing to them, you're playing to you. It just. I don't know. There's a difference, like, because I'm picturing like Luger coming out with the mirror and doing the posing, and then Cody Rhodes doing that with the mirror, and just seeing the difference of like, well, you got to think his technology. Cody's using the Titantron. That doesn't matter. He could have come out with the mirror, the vanity mirror, and all that shit. It was just how he presented it, and Luger just never, to me, presented what the idea was. The only thing that maybe I go back through and watch some of his stuff and get high on it again, but The only thing like that jumps out to me of like, yes, is when he arrived to WCW. Or not WCW, when he was on when he showed up to WCW, right?
Yeah, the Nitro.
Yeah. And, like, that was like, oh my god, what a big deal. And then it was like, it's a big deal till the next guy comes in, because he's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, to me, he would have benefited from a guy like Ellering, who could cut the good promo, Lex could flex in the background, and then just kind of do a quick sum up at the end.
Right.
You know, talk about himself a little bit at the end, and that's it.
Yep.
And then walk away.
Yeah, Lex never did it for me. No, I mean, he's just one of those champions. It's just,
Yep. Like when he beat Hogan, it was cool because he was one of the first ones to really get a win on Hogan when the NWO was hot, and he only had it for like a week, so that that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't a guy that you were going to build the company around.
No.
You know, or do a long run with it. Like he's a guy that you would feed to Hogan, not really surpass Hogan.
Right.
You know,
yeah, exactly.
He's the meathead that you're going to feed to Hogan.
Yep.
Is there a stinger here tonight? You know, I thought it was a cheap shot, by the way. Trying to get into the
It is cool that I mean I like seeing Harlem Heat and stuff in the crowd. It just
But why?
yeah.
What are they doing there? Why would you want to be there if you were a WCW guy? Unless you're there for your brothers. Okay. You're not front row for your brothers. You're not going in there and helping them when they're getting their asses kicked. So what are you doing there other than just being like Booker T's in the crowd? It just
and you're like as a WCW guy, you're clearly seeing that Nick Patrick is being a biased ref.
Right.
You're out in the crowd.
And
Why
you got a
aren't you doing
WCW
anything?
referee in the crowd. Why wouldn't you go out there and like have that start something? That referee jump in the ring and push Nick Patrick and be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Cut it down the middle, or whatever." Like,
Yep.
yeah, there wasn't a lot of creative gone into this. Now, to your knowledge, has Conrad ever done a watch along of this with Bischoff?
I don't know if he has or not. I know they've talked about it, but I don't know if they did a.
Because I'd like to hear some of the input or like the insight of this.
I don't recall. You know.
And I could hear Conrad basically questioning and saying almost 90% of what we've said.
Yep. Like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't What were you thinking here?
Like, why wouldn't you have Nitro girls walking around the ring in bikinis or something, holding up signs, NWO for life? Or,
and have them looking like they don't want to do it, but they're doing it because they're under contract.
They're under contract.
Yep. Like, if you're going to play up that you can make demands, why wouldn't you make demands like that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, absolutely, yes. The boys from above chimes in.
Or like, you bring in WCW referees, you make them wear the NWO shirt, and you say, if you don't call the match the way I want, you're going to get fired.
And then do that in a match.
Yep.
Do that in one match, and then who... All right, now, this is my ignorance. Now, Bischoff was in charge, but who was, like, in charge of WCW that could have... Say they had a WCW referee out here, right? Wearing the NWO shirt, just like you just said. Call the match or you're fired. And he rips the NWO shirt off, throws it down, 1, 2, 3, calls the match for the WCW guy. Crowd goes wild because it's, going against the company. The NWO guys come down, beat the WCW guy up, hold the fucking referee to, like a criminal. And Bischoff come down, slap him across the face, tell him you were supposed to do your job, now you didn't, now you're fired, right? And then that story's there. Now, who would come out, say, on Nitro the following night that would...
They had Harvey Schiller, who was like a Turner executive, come out every once in a while. But it wasn't enough where you would think that a corporate... Like you said, a corporate guy would be like, oh, hey, why are you doing this? Like, you're screwing up our company. We're your parent company. Why are you doing all this shit?
Well, like, I'm thinking, like, if you could have had a guy that was WCW corporate enough that people knew or you could get behind,
right?
Come out and start giving the NWO and WCW a reason to feud other than these guys just want to take over. Well, why are we going to let them just do that?
Yep.
We're not.
Like, Bischoff is underneath us. We can just fire him. You know,
the idea that you were saying Bischoff has total control, that's cool. Like, that's a cool idea. But when you do that, you're limiting yourself to the potential of what you could actually be doing.
Yeah, WCW guys should never get an advantage at that point.
Right, like if you've got Bischoff saying he's the ultimate control, then what's the point of any of this?
Yeah.
What is the point? Why even mention Ted Turner's name?
Yep.
You should have someone coming in from, well, I'm Ted Turner's lawyer, and he doesn't like what you're doing to the company that he bought out. So if you want things to change, you need to either do this, or we're going to have problems, and then you start a rift.
And they only did that every once in a great while.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Have that be your main catalyst for the NWO versus WCW. When Dusty Rhodes joined the NWO, he should have always been the WCW guy.
He should have been that like general manager that spoke for corporate.
He'd come out and question Ted DiBiase like, Ted, what are you doing? I've known you for a long time. No one buys you out. You buy other people out. What are you doing?
Kind of like Jim Cornette was for TNA, the voice of TNA management. Yep.
Yeah, like that would have been...
That had some teeth to what he was doing.
And it gives that credential of like, okay, well, why would Dusty be coming out here? Because he's like Sir NWA. He's literally...
Yep.
You know, like,
and he would be the kind of guy that would be friends with Ted Turner. He had that kind of pull.
Sure.
You know?
Yep. The American Dream and the fucking...
The guy that drew Turner a shitload of money.
Exactly.
And,
yeah, I could see that. Like, They should have made... You could have had Eric Bischoff essentially be the Vince McMahon of WCW, but you should have had Dusty be... who am I trying to think of? Who would counter that to the Vince? Like a Stephanie or even a Shane that had enough backing to where you knew that guy. They're not going to fire him storyline wise because that would just be a waste. Like he's not like Teddy Long as general manager questioning authority. It'd be like, oh no, these guys are like equal basically, but we know this guy's the head honcho.
Yeah.
And because why would Dusty ever go to the NWO? What was the reasoning of that? Just because?
I don't even remember. I think they were just drawing at straws at that point. They were just pulling guys in to shock value. But even then, when he went down to the ring, I knew it was going to fucking happen. Like, he was wearing like a leather jacket. I'm like, he's got a fucking NWO shirt on underneath that. Like, that, you know, yeah, and he was with like Hall and Nash for like a month maybe, and then they just completely dropped it, and Dusty was off TV after that.
So it just doesn't make... I mean, nothing makes sense in the wrestling world, but...
And you were still riding high at that point. You were still winning the ratings. You didn't need any more shock value at that point.
Right.
So turning him really didn't make any sense.
Other than just to do it.
Yeah.
I mean... I don't think there necessarily should have been like a big shock factor of, well, who's the next big guy we could turn and people are going to be like, what? I don't think that should have been the idea.
Right.
It should have been how many people just want to be with us, not who. Yeah. And yes, you do need the who's, but once you take all those big names, you don't have any other big names to fight. Yes, you created Diamond Dallas Page to basically be that guy to go against, but other than that, you didn't. I mean, you had Sting when he would flake in and out after, he finally did come back.
But he wasn't having matches,
no.
He was just doing appearances.
Right,
so.
And then you finally had Goldberg, but in hindsight of Goldberg, to me, he was one of the worst fucking ideas in wrestling history. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Goldberg would have never have been anything if it wasn't for the Monday Night Wars and WCW was looking for something that could just absolutely shock the wrestling world and was so different from WWF. I mean,
yep. And then
a guy that's undefeated. Because we've never seen that before.
Yeah, and then once he loses, what do you do with him? Like Russo said, I had to turn him heel. What the fuck else could I do with him? Have him do another streak?
Right.
And then they ended up doing that again eventually.
And the guy had no personality. He still has no personality.
Yep.
When I watched all the, what were they? Oh my god, the Austin Broken Skull sessions. Yep. The Goldberg one was the one I wanted to skip. I was like, I don't even want to watch this. Yeah. And then I watched it anyways. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy is his own biggest fan too.
Oh yeah,
like,
he totally has the ego. Yep.
Like he thinks he's right fucking up there with like greats. Like you can be one of the greatest in the business, but that does not mean you're one of the greatest of all time. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Goldberg is useless in the wrestling world.
I mean, yeah, you're recognizable, but what did you have? Maybe 5 years total in the business? You know, and
shit to me was handed to you because they needed something.
Yep. You weren't created because they wanted you. You were a need.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never been a Goldberg fan, and I don't think I ever will be a Goldberg fan.
In this last run, after the first match that he had, how do you bring him back?
I don't know.
You know, like.
Break new ground. What a picture. All right, Jeffrey.
See, like, they should have had banners and shit.
Yep.
Sean, when you're about to smoke here. Folks, we are almost through with the search for this nWo. Now let's find out.
See, like, they're playing music now, but why wouldn't you have them playing the themes all the time, you know, instead of playing the canned music?
And that was stupid, too. They have screens on the ceiling.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I want to know, would you be willing to dress up with Vince? And if so, what would you wear? What would you wear with Vince? Would you dress up sexy lingerie?
She doesn't even know who Vince is.
Okay, she's up into it, folks. Let's move on. How you doing?
Why is it that when,
Oh, my.
like, the match is going on, you don't have this guy going out there and talking to them?
Would you help Scott?
Like, not literally so you're watching it, but the match is going on. He's going to go out there. Hey, so when I come back out here and the camera's on us, I'm going to ask you this question.
So it doesn't look so fucking awkward.
Right.
Yep. And it's actually entertaining.
Right, or at least have like a transcript to hand them and be like, you can't hear me? Read this!
Yep.
Now, before we bring the participants out here, I want to touch on something. Hollywood Hogan.
This pay-per-view feels like
probably has
we can do it, which doesn't necessarily mean you should have done it.
Yeah. You have the capability of doing it, but maybe you shouldn't. Yeah.
I think DDP is one of the greatest WCW original concepts they've ever done.
Yeah.
You know what? It was Hollywood.
He truly is.
Take your time here. Take your time. Don't be so quick.
I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure.
He's not. I don't know. He's just. I've always liked DDP. I've always liked him.
And he was one of the most recognizable guys in that company.
Yeah.
You know, he really was. He was that diamond cutter that everybody in the crowd was standing as soon as they knew he was going for it.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Like if Sting wasn't in that spot, you know, as the ultimate guy to go against the NWO,
Yeah.
DDP would have been right there.
Yes, he would have.
You know?
I never understood with Scott Norton if he was in shape or not. You know, like, you look at him from the top half and it's like, dude, he's got some fucking traps. He's got some big shoulders. And then you see the full view and it's like, is that Jim Neidhart? That your gut, man.
Like I get that you were an arm wrestler, but could you work the rest of yourself too? Like
I mean, that goes back to the old style looking wrestler that had
Right.
that big beer belly, barrel chested, thick, just monstrosity of a guy. But it just looks weird.
Yeah.
Like that, your singlet, like it shouldn't go down that far. I feel like your singlet should stop right, like where your pecs end.
Right. You should be wearing Kevin Owens' shirt over you or something to kind of hide that.
Yeah, like you look like Hugh Morris.
Yeah. Like you have not had a single high-profile match yet.
No.
Nothing. It's been, what, 5 matches so far, and you have not... Like, the ladder match should have been out there, or the tag match. Something should have been out.
Yeah.
You know, you should have had a big-name NWO guy out here by
I
now.
really did. Absolutely. Thank you very much. There we have it from the reader once again.
See, like I think if WWE did DDP this way, the way he should have been done, I think he would have been a champion.
Yeah.
In WWE, I think he would have absolutely been WWE champion for a short period of time. But because he was a WCW guy, I don't think he. I think that he just got the weird, creepy stalker shit storyline.
And I think that in Vince's mind, he thought, oh, well, he's going with Undertaker. He's just going to become a huge star. Well, just because you put him in with... So Giant Gonzalez should have been a huge star, right?
Maven should have been a huge star.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's his mentality of the way, like... Okay, during the Monday Night Wars, you didn't watch the WCW product. I get that. But when you buy the fucking company, to not know anything that happened and how big these guys actually were in the company is ludicrous to me.
How there's not enough people surrounding him.
Yeah.
Telling him. Maybe not even saying, well, WCW did this. Because I'm sure if you said that to him, I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
Alright, well, reword it in your own creative way. But... yeah, I don't...
Like a guy like Booker T, you couldn't deny because he had the charisma and the athleticism.
And I don't want to be labeled as racist. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Booker T was basically the Rock of the WCW.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it was a natural fit
it
for
really
those two to feud. So.
It really was.
Yep.
Fuck, I truly think DDP should have been feuding with the Rock.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But like Van Dam comes in that invasion shit. He's getting more cheers than anybody on the roster. How do you not immediately put him with Austin?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, it's because he was an ECW guy. Like,
then why bother?
Yeah.
Then why bother owning anything ECW or even trying anything ECW?
Yep. Like, I get that you wanted the tape library and shit, but you didn't need to sign the wrestlers.
Nope. Fill up with the squander.
Yep.
Oh, shit. I thought he was going to go for a pile driver. Very cool.
See, like, the crowd's into it because they know him. You know?
Yep. And I can't imagine Scott Norton's going to beat him.
And, like, I understand where people say, well, they didn't... WCW never really built up, anybody. Well, you got to look at a guy like DDP. They had the potential to build guys, but you needed the big-name stars to build these guys. And I get they didn't do it often enough. I understand that. But the criticism... I think they get way too much criticism that they didn't deserve.
Is that the real Sting?
I don't know because I don't remember if they get a close-up of him or not.
Well, my thing is I have to imagine it's the real Sting only because of how they worded that, where they said we were wondering if he was going to show up, because at the beginning of the show they showed the fake Sting walking in with them.
Look at this stinger.
But usually they go to a close-up of him too, if it's really him.
If it's him, exactly.
Or at least enough so where you can see that it's actually him.
No, I agree.
I noticed that. Scott Norton now having his way with Diamond Dallas Page. And Norton, he smells blood and he's like a shark.
I can definitely see why people pay him this pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's not enough to it to make it, one, interactive for the fan, to where it's like, why should I invest my energy in this other than just watching it because, well, Nitro's going to be on tomorrow and I might want to see what happened.
But to think that people were going to pay a lot of money to see this concept, I didn't...
Well, it's like, the idea of, and maybe I'm the only one, I didn't personally think December to Dismember was that bad of a pay-per-view.
No.
My biggest gripe with it is the Elimination Chamber match, not putting Sabu into it, was, for whatever reason, ridiculous. I think you still could have had Sabu in it, and you still could have incorporated Hardcore Holly into that match. Because not like Hardcore Holly won the fucking thing.
Right.
And having all the eliminations happen like that was kind of stupid right towards the end.
But that you knew that was because Heyman was frustrated and he did that just to piss McMahon off.
Well, and then the match should have had more weapons in it.
Yep.
Like that was your big cash grab was the idea that this is an extreme elimination chamber match. Fucking barbed wire should have been wrapped around the fucking thing.
Yep. And it's not like they were PG at that point in 06.
No, I mean, other than that, I did enjoy that pay-per-view because it was like the Hardys against Eminem for the very first time, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. And they had enough ECW guys sprinkled in there where yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I'm not saying it was a great my whole point was not a great pay-per-view, but I think it's better than this.
Yeah. Yeah.
When has that ever worked?
Diamond Dallas Page just saw his fight half before.
Whoa.
Leg sweep there.
You can't leg sweep me, I'm fucking huge! I don't know how to take a bump.
See, like in the background, they had the event poster along the rail, but you don't have stuff like that anywhere else.
No, and I would have done the ropes, black, white, black.
Yep.
Turnbuckles would have had our logo on it. Like, rape the shit out of this pay-per-view.
Have banners, the NWO flags on the guardrails. Yep. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't... That's like why when you first said this is what an NWO arena would look like if you created it, I'm thinking, no. This is generic as fuck. Like, I bet you Nick could come up with something better than this. I put money on that. I guarantee you, Nick would come up with a way better arena than this. Like, right across the back there would have been a banner.
Right.
Where it would have just said NWO sold out.
You are the next contestant for the NWO, baby!
See, now, why would you only do this for Page? Why wouldn't the NWO guys just be beating the shit out of everybody?
Is that what they're going to do? Is beat them up, or they're trying to recruit them?
Well, yeah.
If you got to pay attention, what are you even talking about?
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you have them more involved with everything that's going on in the show?
No, yeah, exactly. Own it. Have your guys go out there with signs that plant people in the crowd, give them WCW signs to hold up, and then have the NWO guys go down there ripping them up and, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if you're really going to make it a takeover and this is your pay-per-view, why wouldn't you do shit like that where you're actually controlling every aspect of it?
Yeah. Like, why wouldn't the NWO guys go out into the crowd and fuck with the WCW guys?
Yeah. Why would you let them just sit there and watch the thing? Yep.
Like, they should have shown that they needed tickets to even get in. Like, and then you could have played off of something stupid saying, like, you got WCW guys paying to come into their own shows.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, that's the only way they could get in is I made them buy a ticket. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Instead of being surprised that they were there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because, I mean, when you think of shows where there's invasions and shit, ECW One Night Stand did it. That's like the single best invasion-style reunion ending shows of all time is One Night Stand 05. Because it's supposedly the send-off to ECW. So let's really... the show was amazing. I think almost every single one of those matches was fantastic. It was a reunion for ECW with all those guys, Sandman, Dreamer, and them. And then it was a huge invasion of WWE. And the crowd completely interactive with that, really making you feel like there is a divide here.
Yep.
Holy shit, like there really is going to be a fucking riot. That's how this should have felt.
Yep.
Like these NWO guys, the fans should be booing this.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be enjoying this. They should be totally like, no, we're NWO, fuck you.
Yep.
You don't know what you got!
Because now you're making the NWO look like bitches with the crowd against them.
At their own pay-per-view, yep.
And like you said, the security guys are wearing shirts that say NWO.
Why would he be protecting Diamond Dallas Page?
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
At least with the ECW one, you had Joel Gertner, ECW announcer, interviewer, if you want to call him that, goes up, scared as shit to interview Angle and JBL and them, but yet it makes sense that he would do that because he is kind of fearless and stupid.
Yep.
And then he gets knocked on his ass and shit, and the crowd hates that because that's Joel Gertner, man. That's the quintessential stud muffin of ECW.
Yep.
And it like that, you know, it's what, 8 years before that, or 8 years after this?
Alright, Spade Master, what do you got?
Or no. That was 05. This was 2007. Yeah, so a handful of years after this, they do WWF or WWE does something cool like that. It's like, you know, they had months to plan this.
Yeah.
Like this so far, this is the most creative part of the show.
Yeah. Yep. And it's something that would just be an angle on Nitro, not something for a pay-per-view, really.
Right.
You know. They would come out. That would be a Nitro match where Norton would be wrestling DDP, and they would come out and do that whole thing.
Right, because there's no reason Norton and DDP are fighting, like other than WCW nWo.
Right.
We'll be back later to find out who is Miss nWo. Let's go back to the ring for some more sold-out.
And could that guy look any more like Paul Heyman with the fucking jacket?
Oh, the trench coat and
yeah.
everything. Yeah. Well, again, that's the whole like look back in the late '90s was leather.
Down the stage. That is leaving.
He is a real American. I love that he fucking punched that kid in the face as he was doing it. Just, you know, just...
Yeah. Like the guy directly behind him has an NWO hat on and is cheering him like Hulk Hogan's walking down flexing.
Yeah, it doesn't...
WCW World Tag Team Champions.
See, this match should have happened 2 or 3 matches ago to kind of break it up some with
to
Paul and Dash and...
Very best.
It's not like you don't understand the flow of a show. You've been doing this for years. Like, you should know some kind of formula by now.
Especially Bischoff, man. Like, you have been involved with some... Basically the whole NWA and then TNA. All of it, really.
Yep.
You should be able to formulate this shit.
Who's that? I don't know. They're looking around like they're offended by that ring entrance.
Scott Steiner doesn't fucking understand life at this point.
Very much so. Thank you.
See, like that. Why wouldn't you have more people carrying signs like that bashing the WCW guys?
Right. Like DDP'd his pants.
Yeah, yes. Well, but stuff like
Yeah, no, exactly. I get that.
Like instead of just having the announcer running them down when they're walking to the ring,
right.
You know.
Dominant. Charismatic.
Have Bischoff on the announcing and shit saying, if I hear anybody in here cheering for WCW, you're getting thrown right out. I don't care how much you pay for a ticket.
Throw a couple people out, plants out, you know. Yeah, totally. Like, if you have total control at this point, why wouldn't you be throwing the WCW guys out? Even if they had a ticket, you can still say, hey, it says on your ticket that I can throw you out for any reason.
Right.
You know?
Paying respect to the men that have helped change the world of wrestling as we know it today.
I wish I could get my hands on one of those shirts, original ones.
I like it, but I don't like it. I don't like just the simple fact that you just took a photo. Like, I like shit like this. That, I mean, you could make that. I mean, you can make any shirt nowadays, but you literally just... Oh, you want to pause this for a minute?
Yep.
We had technical difficulties there. My TV seems to have gone out. The hell? That's still plugged in. That's still going. Why is my TV not?
All right, we're back. We had a little bit of electricity problems, so, you know, par for the course with us. With
my apartment sucks, people. I don't pay rent anymore. I don't pay my electric, but, you know, the good man upstairs keeps helping me out, so I don't know.
We got it working again, so we're going to go back to...
Yeah, we had a little technical issues there for some reason. Power shortage on that wall.
But at least we were able to get it figured out so we can get back to this awful pay-per-view.
I wouldn't call it awful. I just wouldn't call this one of the better ones.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it'll probably pick up at this point with, you know, guys that actually kind of could do something, but... I don't think these guys get talked enough as... I mean, they didn't have a huge run in WCW, but for what they did and how well they gelled as a team, I think that the outsiders need to get talked up more than they do.
I'm having a hard time understanding that because I feel like they get talked about quite a bit.
I don't think they get as talked about in the greatest tag teams of all time. I don't think they get into that conversation as much as they should.
We didn't take advantage of any situation to try to keep the Steiner brothers as stuck as they are out of the tag team.
But what did they do necessarily?
And we made that match.
I mean, I could think of things that would hold them to a spotlight. But, like, tag team-wise, what would be your reasoning to say that they're one of the greatest of all time?
That's good point. I guess I'm just going off the popularity, and I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm not saying that's where my mindset was going, but I would definitely say, because I've had this conversation with other wrestling fans, just because they were there, and I'm not saying this with the outsiders, just because they were there doesn't mean they were the ones.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I get it.
And I'm not saying, I wouldn't personally say, if I'm having a conversation about greatest tag teams of all time, I wouldn't even mention the Steiners. But that's just me.
Right.
That's just, I mean...
And it is all subjective, you know. That's like when people do the Mount Rushmore thing. I'm like...
Right. It's your Mount Rushmore, not, well, what do you think it should be for everybody? Like, I personally think, if you don't put Ric Flair in your top... If Ric Flair's not on your Mount Rushmore, I do question, what do you consider then? Because if you don't consider Ric Flair one of, if not the greatest of all time, I'm then going to turn the direction of the conversation in, well, what do you view as the greatest then?
And also, like, we wouldn't put Cena on it, but anybody that's grown up with him would probably put him on it. You know,
and I can understand that. And I wouldn't be like, well, he shouldn't be.
Personally,
if there was a Mount Rushmore of 10 of the greatest wrestlers of all time, I guarantee you, me being me, I would say Cena's in the top 10. Because of, the last 15 years of wrestling.
Body of work.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
It's the body of work that, like, to people, The Rock would be on there, right? Okay, fair enough. He did do quite a bit in the 5 years that he fucking was there.
And he's transcended the business, so...
But, to me, I would say Cena is greater than The Rock. I personally would.
Body of work.
Body of work.
Right.
It's exactly what it is. It's the body of work.
Yep.
Not so much the... Well, yeah, you can't say that, though, because without The Rock, there would be no Austin. Fair enough. I'm not discrediting The Rock at all. I personally would say Cena is just overall better than him. He's had a better career in the sense of, well, I don't know if better, because The Rock's career, like you said, transcended. Without The Rock being a wrestler, he would not have been a movie star, and without The Rock being a movie star, he would not probably be the most... I think Rock is more well-known than Hogan.
Yeah.
As a household name.
Right. For what he's done outside the business more than what he did in it.
Yes.
Hogan is more recognizable because of the business.
Jesus,
you know?
I think Hogan is recognizable because of the business, but I think Hogan is so recognizable.
Right.
Because that motherfucker will slap his face on anything to get marketed.
Yeah.
So because of that, I think I don't want to say fan base or demographic, but there is a larger viewing
Right.
for Hogan's name. The Rock, household, just because movie-wise.
Yeah.
Movie-wise, The Rock is in more movies than fucking
Yep.
anybody. Jesus Christ. Like, you have to know who The Rock is just because, like, he's in every kid movie, he's in every adult movie. It's 1 and 2 are the same.
And like you say in body of work, like,
Yeah.
with The Rock, I
7 years total?
can't name more than 5 matches that I really give a shit about watching in there. To be honest.
Right. That
You know
actually,
what I mean?
right.
Really.
No.
Cena, like him and Punk, and there are
Him
matches
and Jericho.
where, yeah, there's a lot of matches I could say that I've enjoyed watching him. I don't like him, but I could appreciate the matches that he's been in.
And he didn't
You
do
know?
what The Rock did. And people can say, well, The Rock got more better movie deals or whatever. Sure, fine, okay. But that's splitting the hairs of what both of them did. They both did the same thing.
Yep.
Started off as wrestlers, became movie stars. The only difference is Cena did exactly what he said he would never do, and that was leave. He never left. He stayed there with the fans, whether you loved him or hated him. That was a reason I hated him, because he was fucked. He's still here!
Yep.
Where The Rock, I'm never going to leave. And just like Cena said, and then you left.
Yep.
I can't disagree with that. Like, as much as I hate Cena as, like, I'm not a wrestling fan for him, the guy has earned my respect, my kudos, my... whatever he has earned for me, because I'm a nobody, that he's earned that.
I mean, you cannot like his character and shit, but still appreciate who he is.
I
and what
guarantee
he means,
outside of the wrestling world, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have a good time with The Rock, but I guarantee, and I know this, I guarantee outside of the wrestling world, if I hung out with John Cena, I would absolutely fucking love him.
Yeah.
I guarantee it, and I say that with disdain and upsetness in my voice, because I don't want that to transition into me actually ever liking him as a wrestler.
Right.
I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm watching a Cena match, and I'm like, well, you know, Dave, you know. No, I don't want to do that.
Yep.
Where The Rock, you've done it because you can. You're The Rock. Like, Austin didn't leave wrestling, go become something big, come back for one night, and then never come back. He just never came back.
Yeah.
He just left.
And he comes back at the worst fucking times, too.
He really does. They don't know how to book him.
Like, the thing with him, Hogan, and Rock in the ring at WrestleMania the one year was funny, and it was...
But why would haven't you done that sooner?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, no one's begging for one more match. Like, I mean, I'm sure people are. But, like, no one in their right mind is saying Austin and Hogan need to still happen.
Right.
But why aren't... I've said this before. Vince, for whatever reason, hates the people that have put him where he is. Like, for whatever reason, he does not like acknowledging the guys that built his company.
Yep.
I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to pay them out. He doesn't... I don't know what it is. But, like, why you haven't had someone on your TV like Tito Santana...
Yep.
Or Rick Martel, like we've mentioned, to build up these younger guys, or to come in. Rick Martel, imagine Rick Martel coming in with somebody as their manager. Like,
Or every time they introduce these new title belts, why aren't you having former Intercontinental Champions come out to present that fucking belt?
Like, why did it
be around the ring and all that?
I know you're going to be able to come up with a good defense, but I'm going to keep badgering you about it. Why did Mick Foley present the 24/7 title?
I don't even know.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something along.
I really don't know.
Because I can hear people say, well, because it's kind of like the modern day hardcore title. It can be defended.
But even he didn't do the 24/7 rule. So that argument.
I get an idea, but ideas are mostly like they can be contributed to like a good idea.
Right.
Because ideas, I got an idea, that doesn't mean that what I've been smelling burning for the last 20 minutes is a good idea that you have in your head. Like, Hitler had an idea.
Doesn't mean it was a good idea.
Right. It's all about perspective.
Yep.
I don't know. It's all weird.
Yeah.
It is all fucking weird.
But like, they just introduced the new U.S. title.
Yep.
Why aren't you having a single former U.S. champion come out and present that title?
You got MVP right there.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's doing something in the storyline, but
so what?
Yeah.
I mean,
utilize guys that have had. You got Shelton Benjamin. Well,
right,
he was a U.S. champion.
Well, it's not even like to go back to the MVP thing because he's busy with this. He shouldn't be doing this. I remember a time when Jimmy Hart was the manager of everybody.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if he was with Hogan. He's still going to go out there and manage the Nasty Boys. It shouldn't be looked at as some.
They're very myopic. Yeah.
It's like we are in a world that is an expanded universe. Why are we not playing up to the idea that these people are more than what we present them as? Like, I don't know. I feel like wrestling is so mainstream now, but yet the guys pulling the string are still looking at it through like a keyhole. Like, I don't really know where I could go off and explain any more of that, but.
And I like watching the old videos where they talk about the Attitude Era and people saying, "Oh, well, Vince knew he had to change." Well, why doesn't he fucking know that now? Everybody talks about him being such a visionary, and I get it, he is. But at certain times, he's not.
Right.
You know, at certain times he gets, like Pritchard has said, in that wrestling bubble. Well, why can you only get out of it at certain times?
Especially at the times when you need to be out of it, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, you're way out of it, and not in a good way.
Like, a TV company just gave you $1 billion. Why are you not seeing that your product needs to live up to that?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, let's just change our entranceways all the time, and it's like, I'm over that. I'm over the spectacle.
Yeah.
I'm over the spectacle because AEW has shown me it doesn't need to be glitz, glamour, fireworks, billion-dollar budgets.
I mean, they do that stuff, but not to the
because
point
they can.
Yeah.
They don't do it because they have to.
Yep.
They do it because they can. They do it when it's necessary. WWE has fallen to the wayside of, we don't need to do the things that brought us to the dance because we're here. Now we just have to do the things that are just going to keep people watching.
Yep. Like, I can remember the Backlash set with the huge metal hook swinging.
Yeah.
Stuff like that you can remember. I couldn't tell you what they did at the last pay-per-view as far as a set. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like Extreme or TLC is the only one that they, but that's all just putting ladders out now. Yeah. You know.
Slightly more effective than which really is catching me by surprise here.
They do production value just to do it. Like, I don't need to see every pimple on every single person. I don't need to. Just because you have HD doesn't mean everything needs to look completely slick.
Well, just the stupid stuff of like, let's use computer graphics that only people at home are going to see, like during WrestleManias and shit. But yet, we're not going to do anything for the crowd that's actually fucking here.
Yep.
Like, I don't give a fuck if you show me a computer-generated image of Sasha Banks' boss glasses floating above her fucking head.
Yeah.
She's not interacting with it because she doesn't know it's there. The fucking crowd in the arena's not being overzealous because they don't know it's there.
Yep.
Like, who the fuck cares if the money is put into that? Put it into the product of the person, of the match, of, like, making this... That just looks so fucking dumb to me. And I'm just thinking like this. Like, you're playing off of the idea of sold out. Again, you're sold. You're spelling it sold out. So why wouldn't you have, throughout the night, WCW guys selling out? Yeah. Show the guys that are up in the crowd, like Haku, and that people like Haku and Barbarian that aren't necessarily like an Arn Anderson or Booker T and Stevie Ray that you know, well, let's not term them because whatever. But Haku and Barbarian, why can't show them at one point? Stand up, look at Arn Anderson, look at whoever else is on the other side. Start beating the shit out of them. Be like, what the hell are they doing? Rip their shirts off and say nWo and they go down to the ring. Clank, clank. Now you're playing to the fact of you sold out.
Or they walk down to the guardrail like they're going to interfere, and then they just hop the guardrail and start hugging guys, and Arn Anderson's sitting there like, what the fuck is going on?
Right, like,
you know?
And then you could play off of, okay, they sold out, literally, the idea, but play up tomorrow on Nitro. You sold your soul, man! Like, because didn't WWF do sold out? And it was with...
I don't think so.
I thought, I could have sworn I could picture like a purple pay-per-view themed, like, in your house sold out or something like that. I feel like they based it around The Undertaker, I feel. Like, maybe I'm completely wrong with that.
I think they did one like called Soul of the Taker or something like that.
Google this. Would you Google this? Because now I'm going to be upset not knowing. Because I could have sworn that they did something like that, and it was called, like, Sold Out.
Well, WCW kept doing Sold Out as a name and kept it spelled the same way for years.
Maybe that I'm just getting the two mixed up and thinking they should have been one. Because it makes sense, right? Like, if Undertaker had a pay-per-view, you're not going to call it...
They did... SummerSlam was called Heart and Soul. When Bret Hart wrestled Undertaker, it was called SummerSlam Heart and Soul.
That's what I'm thinking of. That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yep.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Some things come every once in a while.
I knew, like, in my head of heads, it's like, alright, you know wrestling enough to be able to absolutely fuck up what you're trying to say,
Yep.
but you know that it's derived from something.
Yep.
It's always derived from something. You just don't know the focal point of it.
Yep.
Because, ladies and gentlemen, I know my wrestling, but that doesn't mean I know my wrestling history. There's a big difference.
Yep. Oh, Nick Patrick is down. What's going to happen?
Like, why would you have Scott Steiner...
What's Randy Anderson doing? Randy Anderson.
See, this is brilliant! Brilliant! Kudos. That is what I've been saying since the beginning, to do something like that.
I forgot about this part.
That is brilliant.
But there's not enough brilliant spots, you know.
And then you got Bischoff. That did not happen.
Yep.
But what I was going to say prior, if you know you have Scott Steiner and his brother tag teaming for the championships, why are you having Scott Steiner dressed like he's in the NWO?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, why are they both not wearing their like Michigan colors?
And this is like a year away from him turning heel.
Exactly.
Yep.
You cannot fool the wrestling people.
Like Sting, I get
That
it
was
because
clever.
he's the brooding, you know,
Right.
guy. But yeah. Well, I think the next night on Nitro,
Very
Bischoff fired Randy Anderson for doing that, and they stripped him of the title.
And then that's when they brought Randy Anderson in with his family.
Yep, yeah,
Okay,
yep.
I do know that. Sniveling for his job up on the stage.
And then Bischoff was like, will you tell your daddy that he's still
He's
fired?
still fired.
Yep.
I'm looking at your form.
But like,
Good
yeah.
stuff. That's good. That
Yeah.
got me excited because that's exactly what should have happened.
Yep.
2, it happened in a high-profile match,
Right.
which gives it credibility. It wasn't just they did it to do it.
Yep. It didn't happen with Wall Street against, you know.
Very cool. That should have happened.
Yep. And you got Bischoff saying that will not stand. So already you've set up what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good. This has not been a great pay-per-view, and I've seen a lot that have never been great, but that was a good moment. Yeah, he is a goof. He does absolutely look like a goofball. That's brilliant, though.
Yep.
Play that off perfectly.
Are you sure that's Pee-wee?
Like, why would somebody be handing him the belts to give to them? Like, if it's in that, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it is. That was done really well.
That was very well done. To even go in there and to go to Rick and be like, no, I will count. Get in there. I will count. No, fuck
and then Rick shoved Nick Patrick back down. He was getting
like
up
that.
and he shoved him back down.
I enjoyed that moment.
Yep.
Very good.
Paul and Nash.
So Nick Patrick got knocked down to the apron, or actually to the ringside, and Hall and Nash were in a very precarious position to win, but Randy, the fuck was his name?
Randy Anderson.
Randy Anderson save WCW right there.
Jump the
Stop
guardrail.
showing these fucking guys that are not even like jobbers.
I will bring it.
And I will say this: there's nothing more to set you off as a tool than to go to a wrestling show, flex and act like you are part of the show, like you're a big deal. Unless you are an indie wrestler and you're trying to just get attention to yourself, cool. But those guys are the typical douchebag that would go to the show thinking they look like hot shit because they're big and muscular and they have no rhyme or reason.
And the people that have a replica title belt over each shoulder, and they're doing everything to be loud and draw attention to themselves the whole night. Because that happens at a lot of shows.
And you're
and signings too. Like they're
a tool.
Yeah, you know.
Absolutely. Created the NWO.
That first time that I brought my belt to that WWE show, I never wanted to do it again.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's ever happened to this sport.
I don't see the point
Like that, and the hands Steiner
of bringing a belt to a show unless you're going to have it be interacted with.
Yeah.
I personally don't need to carry that with me and know I'm limited to my actions.
Right.
I either have to set it down or I gotta hold it the whole time in a cramped seat next to people that you're crunched in like sardines. I mean, personally, I bought the fucking thing because as a kid, my thought as a kid is I can buy the thing that these guys go and fight for.
Right.
That's so cool.
It's not completely real, but still,
Right.
yeah.
I can own that.
Yep.
That was the whole reason I ever bought my first WWE championship was just so I could. I mean, you're a fan. Like, if you're a fan of anything, you want something of that world
Yep.
as your own. Like,
That's why people buy like replica, championship rings.
exactly,
And, all that stuff.
exactly.
Yep. And I get when people get them signed and stuff like that, but that's going to a
100%.
signing, and
But to go to a wrestling show, sit up in the cheap seats just to hold your belt up in the crowd so you can scream. What is that for? So people around you can be like, wow, that dude bought a belt.
Yeah.
He must be cool. I did feel that way one time, only because this guy, we were leaving.
He's good to be king.
I don't know if I was with you at this show or not. I think I was. A dad came up to me and asked if his kids could get a picture with me and the belt. And it's like, I'm a nobody, but these kids, I don't know if they're looking at me as a wrestler, but they're looking at the belt as, there's the belt.
Yeah.
Like, so I can get that. I can absolutely understand that. But wrestling fans as a whole, and I'm going to lump myself in there because I'm a fan, are tools.
A good majority
Literally
of them.
have to be. The fans have to get just as much acknowledgement as like the wrestlers because they feel they're entitled to.
And I hate to say this, but ECW has a lot to do with that because they became part of the show, and then everybody thought they had to be a part of every show that they go to.
Now, to piggyback off what you're saying, Dave isn't shitting on ECW.
No.
Because it was their thing.
Right.
That became their thing because they were so small and such a little knit family that you got the dude love-looking dude with long hair and the big black glasses, the wicker hat guy, the tie-dyed guy, or whatever. They were part of the environment.
Right.
Now it's like a Rick Asperger or whatever his name was, just was going to WWE shows to get acknowledged, finally got acknowledged, and WWE doesn't give a fuck about
Like that Brock Lesnar guy that does,
right,
the pose
wears the
all the
same
time.
fucking, like, Ed Hardy affiliation shirt, or affliction style shirt, and does that, and then he's always in the camera view of, like say someone's in the corner and something's happening, he's always got that, like, stupid look, and
you've got that one guy that's got, like, the airbrush Jimmy Hart looking jacket that's always front row.
Right. You know those types of people are only, I mean, I'm not saying they're not fans, but they're there to get themselves acknowledged to the group of friends that they have back home. To be like, look at, man, my dude is, like, on TV every fucking week. It's like, no, for one,
Any company has to start.
to me, I don't give a fuck as a fan to another fan what you have done in a regards of, like, I don't think you're any cooler.
Yeah.
Like, alright, if you were to come up to me and we were friends after the fact that this happened to you, and you were like, yeah, Matt Taven and Tommaso Ciampa, I sat with them, I wouldn't play that down. because that's awesome to you. But I wouldn't be looking at that, and I don't think you'd be presenting it the way I'm presenting how I would. But I wouldn't be like, all right, you're still you. Like, what the fuck's that matter? Like, that's awesome. You had. I mean, I would entertain the idea in that story because that's an awesome fucking tale. But just like if I was to say to somebody, well, I got to sit down with Mick Foley for like 20 minutes. One, it's how you present it, how you're interpreting that, or not interpreting, but how you're putting it out there. But I wouldn't want someone to hold me on a pedestal and be like, this guy knew Mick Foley for 20 minutes?
Right.
Like, I don't. So to those guys, like the Rick Ackberger or whatever, that's awesome that you were on Deal or No Deal, because I love that show. Ooh. That was bad. That was bad.
Yep.
But I don't give a fuck any time or day that you're just a fucking normal dude too.
Yeah. Like, well, that's like the first time I remember seeing him was at the night of the 2001 Royal Rumble. He was dressed as like a member of Right to Censor, and he had funny signs. Oh. And they were just generic signs. But then he started wearing the fucking backwards hat like Fred
on
Durst.
The reverse hard camera side? Or is it the hard camera when he's looking at you?
The hard camera side.
Okay. And he started obviously getting tickets to sit there specifically, and then wore the like mechanic's blue jacket or shirt, whatever, and then like the red cap.
And then he started doing the signs with the guys' faces on them and all that shit. He was doing it just for attention at that point.
Yes.
When he first started it, he was doing it to be funny. And then it was just to draw attention.
Because I pay attention to him and the Brock Lesnar guy. When things are happening around them, you can see them clearly looking around for like, is anybody looking at me?
Yeah, to try to make an
acknowledgement.
Yep.
It's like, I don't give a fuck, not even wrestling, but I don't give a fuck about people like that in general. I don't care. Like, we live in a world now where there's a pandemic. The coronavirus is a thing. When you go in public places, right? When you go in public places, it's considerate to wear a mask. I see a lot of places say we are enforcing it, but I gotta say Walmart is like the biggest, like, what the fuck? You guys say you enforce the mask thing, but I see employees without masks. And then I constantly am hearing over the intercom, we're to reduce the risk of you catch however they say it. We're limiting the store to so many people.
No, they're not.
No, you're not.
And I know that's bullshit because, and I don't, not that anybody fucking, but when they start doing the count at 7 in the morning, I'm leaving the building. You didn't fucking count me who was already in the goddamn building.
Right.
And the people that are in the building that are working, you're not counting them, so you're not getting an accurate count.
You think those people... Now, are the people that are counting Walmart employees?
Yes.
Where do they scrape them from? Because I feel like those people...
Oh, those are their minimum wage. I guarantee you they're minimum wage.
Like working one day a week kind of deal. I don't even know. I'm just saying that because... You got like different... I'm going to go back to my point, but you got different tiers at Walmart.
Yeah.
Right? These guys are like literally like... So you couldn't qualify to push the cart.
In all the years that I spent...
Because, come on, there ain't no way half of them fucking people that are counting people going in can even fucking count. But my point is, you have to wear a mask when you go into places. Now you get the people that will wear... I'll do this. This is what I'll do every now and then. I wear a bandana or something close to it. Normally it hangs lower. But I'll have it over my face. Because I don't buy into the whole coronavirus thing to the degree that it's being told to us as. Because it seems to fluctuate when it wants to be here. But that's my own thing. We have to go now into part two
because it wouldn't let me record the whole thing.
But then you get, like I said, you get the people that will wear like the regular medical masks or whatever, right? A t-shirt over their face, a bandana, and then you get the cocksucking retarded fucking douchebag people that need to garner attention because living inside their own home doesn't give it to them. They need to go out dressed in an inflatable T-Rex outfit, or they need to dress up to where it's like, what are you fucking doing? What do I give a fuck if you are in a full, bright pink hazmat suit?
Yep.
Like, you are just looking for attention. Put the fucking mask on. Or don't. I don't care if you do or don't. Preferably, I don't give a fuck what you do.
And you know what? I hate a lot of these people that are online, these videos of people flipping out because they have to wear a mask, a lot of that is for attention.
Okay.
It's not to make a stand.
Or
people,
to be a political injustice.
Yeah, it's because you want to get fucking YouTube views.
Yes. Oh, I agree.
A lot of that is.
I absolutely agree.
Like, I shared the video of the old woman that, like, sat down on the floor because Costco was telling her she had to wear a mask. Like, that woman
like acting like a baby deal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was for attention. I'm sorry.
Right.
You know what
right.
I mean? That's not making a stand or, yeah.
I absolutely agree. I have not seen any of this personally firsthand, like someone acting like that or throwing a temper tantrum. But I know it's out there. I've seen video. You're giving an example right now. And I swear to Christ, if I'm one of those people and I'm in a store and I see someone acting like that, I'm going to be very vocal about it. Because, like I said, I don't necessarily wear the mask for my protection. I don't. Call me dumb, call me ignorant, you call it however you want. I don't care what your view is of that. I wear it for the consideration of other people. It's a considerate concept to do for someone else, even if they're not going to do it for you. It's just that easy. I mean, so to go above and beyond and wear a fucking three-piece suit, and not like a tuck suit, but like a hazmat suit, or even to wear that, and I'm going to say it, that fucking plastic shield face visor. Come on, Sergeant Slaughter's not going to come walking at you guys. Like, every time I go into Walmart, I see one of the managers in there wearing the fucking full face shield. And I just want to ask him, like, why? Why? What is... It's... Do you not think airborne pathogens travel through the fucking air? Not saying that this... Not saying that this is any better. Not saying that this is even going to help, right? But when you have a shield that comes out like this, and you're leaving like an inch gap all the way around, as stupid is what stupid does, or is stupid just fucking stupid? Like, it just...
I was reading some tweets from Austin Aries, who seems like one of the most arrogant douchebag people I've ever seen, just from the stuff I've seen him say.
I liked him in TNA when he was like Austin Aries. I immediately didn't like him after we met him.
Yeah.
I have never once have I met a wrestler and ever asked them, can I hold your championship? Can I hold the belt? And have been told no. Until him.
Yep.
Now, 9 times out of 10, if we go to a wrestling show, and you'll admit this too, you don't even have to ask.
They hand it to you.
What did Ricky Steamboat do when we met him? He took that Intercontinental title and threw it right over our fucking shoulders.
Yep.
Why? Because he was making us the champion. Because it wasn't about him, it was about us.
Or like your interaction with Dreamer. He had brought you right over to Sabu and had him sign it.
He did.
You know what I mean? Like,
Dreamer took my ECW title, he signed it for free, walked me right down the line all the way to Sabu. We skipped a whole handful of people, and he told Sabu, he's like, will you sign this for him and don't charge him?
Yep.
I mean, I didn't ask for that. I didn't even think that would happen, let alone, like, it did happen. So, yeah, go to your Austin Aries.
But he was talking about COVID, and he's vegan, and he's all, militant about it. But he was like, all these people saying that I need to wear a mask to protect other people, so does that mean I should go up to their cart and slap all the nasty food that they eat out of their cart to protect them? I'm like, no, you're being a douchebag.
Right.
And he's like, oh, well, so you eating shitty food makes you more prone to being sick? Well, yeah, but my mother's, who's got an underlying condition that you could protect by wearing that mask, has no control over that. I'm a fat man, and yes, I eat shitty food, so yes, I'm hurting my immune system, but somebody that has no control over their immune system, it is a sign of respect to help protect them.
Well, 1 and 2 aren't even the same, because covering your face because there's an airborne pandemic opposed to, well, this guy's obese.
Yep.
That's not affecting me.
But he's making it out that it is affecting him. Yeah.
Like, our entire friendship, the 13 years or whatever we've been friends, you being overweight has never once affected my life. It's never been like, oh man, he's overweight. Like,
maybe when you were sitting next to me when I was 400 pounds.
Even then, that wasn't affecting my my health.
Right.
That wasn't you being overweight. Is it contagious? That's the word I'm looking for.
Right.
What you have going on. Oh, he's eating cheese doodles. Better keep away from him. That's contagious because I don't want to eat cheese doodles. No, asshole, Aries. The whole fucking thing is, it is an airborne, contagious pathogen that you are passing on to somebody else, or could be. I don't.
And you could say what you want about the totals of, and all the coverage of it, but it is out there. It is there.
No, right. I'm not playing it down like it doesn't exist.
No, yeah, but I get what. It's
definitely.
But he's doing it just to be a douchebag
and get that attention going against.
Because he knows he's not relevant.
Exactly.
And to be honest, he never really has been. I hate.
Bobby Roode made him relevant. That gentleman of extraordinary, I don't know what their group was. What was the name of their group?
Oh.
Ego. That's what their fucking group was. Extraordinary Gentleman Organization.
Yeah.
That was stupid. Because I've never cared for Austin Aries. I mean, I did. I liked him when he was, early TNA. Not early TNA, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But then once we met him, I was like, fuck this guy. What a tool.
Yep.
But that's like saying, to the Austin Aries thing, well, I should have to wear a mask because this guy's fat, so that means I should go slap his cart. Well, okay, AIDS is out there, right? So should we just go cut the dicks off of every man and super glue pussy shut?
Right. If you're going to go to one extreme, why aren't you going to the other?
Right.
Yep. And he's giving people that are vegan that aren't militant about it a bad name. I think, because I've dealt with enough. I don't want to say I'm experienced, but I've dealt with my own handful of people that I know that are vegan enough to know to say this. Get the fuck off it. You're not better than anyone else because they go eat a fucking hamburger that somebody else had slaughtered and abused. I sure as fuck didn't do it, but that shouldn't be me being a victim because I like to eat the shit that keeps me feeling good. So don't preach your veganism and all that bullshit onto others that don't necessarily agree with it. That's being vegan is like the new Christian. It's you're not fucking into this, then you hate us. Like, why can't we just all be different and yet all still be fucking happy? A guy I know made a great. I mean, it's stupid, but it's funny. He's like, well, why aren't they bitching about a pack of hyenas that are tearing a fucking wildebeest apart? They're not respecting that animal. They're just tearing it the fucking apart to eat it. Isn't that the same as having it in a slaughterhouse and tearing it apart? I was like, it's a stupid argument, but on the same level.
It's not a point, but
you know what I mean?
The thing that PETA would say is, it's inhumane to beat them with hammers. Fair enough. I'm not saying running it over with a tractor is really tenderizing my meat for me.
But eating an animal alive is kind of inhumane.
But when, at the end of the day, when I don't necessarily care how it was tenderized, as long as it's there for me to buy, right? Like, I get, like, but what do you? Okay, now we're going really into it. If I could ask some fucking vegan goddamn activist, what do you actually do? What are you trying to get me to stop doing? To stop eating?
Because there's different dynamics of what you're actually trying to get me to
stop eating red meat. Okay. Why? Well, because it's inhumane to kill an animal. No! It's not, though. Because that's what we've done since, like, ever. Hunters and gatherers. It's a 50-50, like, job. One person goes and gathers the berries. Others, they go and hunt. Now, if I'm the gatherer, am I questioning how that hunter brought the food back to me?
Right.
No! Because that was his job.
I'm fucking eating.
And I'm eating. If he had to catch that buffalo and beat it in the head with a rock until it said, I'm sorry, you can eat me, who am I to judge? Who am I to judge how that buffalo said it wanted to die?
Like, I get you see, like, a barn that's just full of fucking animals and there's no space in between them. I get how you're outraged at that.
But what are you doing, though?
Right, you're not doing anything about it.
What is
really.
it that you're going to get all these people to sign a petition to stop doing this? But it's not going to ever stop.
Right.
Ever. So what are you doing? You're fighting for a cause. I don't want to say it's not a just cause, because it is. But you're fighting for a cause that you know is not going to end.
You're fighting a losing battle.
So you're just constantly creating an issue.
Yep.
Like, I get fighting for reasons, like, when I go and pick my daughter up, we have to drive by Planned Parenthood all the time, right? And you get literally 1 or 2 80-year-old people out there, abortion's the devil's work, or whatever, right? And I'm thinking, how is petitioning abortion ever gonna work?
Yep. And then you tell them that, 90% of what that company does is to help prevent pregnancy to begin with. But they don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear that.
They just want to hear, they're killing babies. Yep.
Exactly.
You can't bring the other, side to it.
And I'm
you can
sorry.
only see the one side.
A fetus? I don't give a fuck if it's a 3-week-old fetus. It's not a fucking baby. It's an embryo. It is an embryo. It is not a fucking baby. It is. If a woman gave birth to a 3-week-old fetus, you know what a doctor's not going to say? Congratulations, it's a boy.
Right.
Because it's a fucking gelatized embryo fetus. So if a girl, for one, that has been raped and can't financially take care of a baby, and her parents aren't there no one's there to help her. I don't give a fuck who it is. Why should she be shunned to go and abort something that could drastically ruin her life off of an idea that did ruin her life?
And it's a constant reminder of that trauma. Yep.
Well, she could have the baby and put it up for adoption. Psychologically, you don't understand what that is going to do to someone.
She's got to carry that for 9 months.
And then give birth to a baby that was ill-conceived.
Yep.
A child that was never even meant to happen. You want that to come into this world? To me, that's ignorant, and that's you being a selfish human being.
And if that kid ever finds out that was,
right,
that's a mind fuck for that kid too.
Exactly. Absolutely. So these
are our views, and you're free to have your own.
No, you're not! You can't have any.
But for people to comment and say, you can't have that view, well, fuck you, I do. So
I can have any view I want, because last I checked, this is still America,
and people are still trying to get here all the time.
All my rights are slowly getting taken away. And not even my rights. I don't want to say that. But my ability to have said rights are slowly being diminished in certain ways. Now, I'm not going to be one of these people that says, wearing a mask, you're taking away my freedoms. No. I have the freedom to not wear the fucking thing. That's my fucking right, to not have to wear the stupid goddamn mask.
The store does have a right to tell you can't come in if you're not wearing it. Because it is private property.
Which piggybacks to my previous statement.
I know.
They're not enforcing this, so why bother? You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't look very happy to be in there. This is the ladies of gross. Look at, I don't know if I want to ask her out on a date or kick a field goal. Look at the goddamn gap.
She's a grain inspector. Okay, that's tremendous.
It's weird what is attractive in the 90s. Like, who fucking has their hair like that? Look at the size of her forehead. Look how fucking far up it goes.
That's a 5 head.
That's a back head. That goes all the way to the back of her head. Hobby, bowling and playing the lottery. So that means she smokes and drinks.
And yells at kids that are riding their bikes, right in front of her house.
I'd sleep with a lot of these women, but her, I would. Definitely her. She's the best. You are one of the worst. And then you get there. And then that's like another one of the worst. And then you see this fucking Gorilla Monsoon looking woman. She's cute. She's a little strange. And I have no standards, so you get fucked.
The guys in the band are like, yeah, I'm going to have all of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are with Eric Bischoff.
who's talking again, like he hasn't been talking all night.
Right. The Bish.
I love you guys.
It is kind of strange to see him like this and then to see him now because they don't even look like the same person.
Right.
Like Vince McMahon, he's older, but he's always looked like Vince through the years. Like looking at Bischoff now, it's like I could walk by him on the street and
You
not
should have
recognize
just kept
him.
dyeing your hair, dude. You've done it for so many years, you might as
I
well
gotta
just keep
say,
doing it.
in WWE, before he got fired, he had like the buzz cut and like the beard and shit. I thought he looked badass. I really did. I'm like, oh, he looks like just older Bischoff from like NWO, just collected.
Yeah.
And then they made an action figure of him like that, where he was in a tan suit and he had the beard and the buzzed hair. And I fucking fought so hard to try to find it. I never had an Eric Bischoff figure. I wanted that one bad though. I was like, he just looks so cool.
Yeah.
I never had him.
I liked him in WWE. I think him as
Oh, I
the
did
general
too.
manager was great.
When I got into WWE again and he was general manager already, I 1,000,000,000% didn't know him from anywhere.
Right.
I didn't know he was a WCW, like, the owner, basically. I didn't know any of that stuff. Because when I think of WCW, it's the highlights they show you.
Yep.
The Hogans, Macho Man, Goldberg. Like, probably, if I could go back in my head and view what I saw as a kid, Bischoff was probably right there.
But not to that extent where, you know.
I think the only thing from when I was a kid that I truly, truly, truly feel like that's like the only thing I remember Bischoff being in is when Alundra Blaze jumped ship and dropped the title in it.
Yep.
He was sitting there at the table. And even then, it wasn't like, in that memory, Bischoff was the guy you were focusing
Right.
on. It was
he wasn't
Alundra
even
Blaze.
NWO at that point.
Right,
either,
no,
so.
exactly.
Yep.
It was the shock and the awe of this woman trashing a title.
But even like when he was the top dog general manager, he was effective. And then when Vince would show up, he would just cower
The
like a chicken
quivering little
shit.
chicken
Yeah.
shit, yes.
Yeah. It was so effective. And then to hear him on the podcast, and you're like, dude, where does this personality leave you? Like, you obviously have it. Like,
I feel like he's
you
very
know.
fake. And not in the fake of, like, I want to be deceitful, but I only want, but, like, the sense of, I only want certain people to know certain things.
Yeah.
And that's why I've said before, he's got the 83 Weeks podcast with Conrad, where he basically will open up and say whatever. I mean,
But not to the extent that he could.
Right, and then you get 83 weeks later, I think that's what, yeah, I think his other podcast is called 83 Weeks Later.
Like on Patreon or something.
Yeah, with 3 other people, and you can tell, like, he's not putting effort. I mean, he is, but he isn't.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? Ew! Ah! He made out with the fucking big one! Look at that, dude. That's Gorilla Monsoon. Ew, out of all those chicks he could have made out with? Ugh! Ew, dude! Why did he do that? Ew! No.
No.
No, dude, no. Oh my god. I would have been like, no, I'm not kissing an ugly big.
That's worse than getting the Bronco Buster from Mae Young.
No. 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 Because she's probably going to make out with you afterwards, too. Mrs. OMU right there, ladies and gentlemen. OMU.
This is just horrible.
This is...
I gotta follow this, brother. How do you not have that in creative control in your contract?
Why didn't you make this so the women were attractive and they were sexy and in bikinis? Was Macho Man in NWO at this point?
No. This was after Hogan had beat him at Halloween Havoc, and he was kind of like blackballed. They wouldn't let him in WCW. They wouldn't let him in NWO. So.
Right. Because I was just thinking, I'm like, wouldn't Miss Elizabeth be Miss NWO?
Right. And she was in the NWO at this point, so...
So, okay, that was
Right.
where I was going with it. So
Right.
Okay, so that doesn't make sense.
She's sitting on a toilet,
That
bro. And that's...
seriously looked like a toilet.
It is.
I don't even know what
This is
Look at all these lesbians.
this is where HLA started right here.
Oh, lesbian action. That's what it was really stood for. Who's that one in the white pants? Oh, that was the
That's
fucking
the one with the fucked up hair, with the 5 head.
Well, it makes sense that this would end on a toilet.
Because that was horrible.
That wasn't very good. Look at DiBiase. He's like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
Can I go back to Vince?
Can I kick a basketball out from a black kid? I'd rather be doing that than this.
Right, like have him interview the women. At least he would have gotten something out of them.
Right.
You know? Or offer them money and shit, and you know.
No, when he came to nWo, he was the backer, right?
Yeah, he was trillionaire Ted. You know, so yeah.
There you go. That actually plays off well. Yeah, he's just like Ted's literally just sitting there like, should we just get to the next thing?
See, like if it was me, I would have been like, he would have been like, hey Bischoff, I know you picked all these women for this contest, but I paid for some really nice women, so we're gonna bring them out instead.
Right.
You know. Or I paid for the Nitro girls to be here, and we get to pick one of them to be Miss nWo. Yeah. Yep.
It's time now for Hollywood to once again prove to the world.
I mean, it is kind of fun to watch this with you because you've never seen it, but
I enjoy watching
them,
even if it's bad, because it gives you a good conversation. It really does. Like Big Show, right there, should have fucking knocked her right out. Knocked that bitch right the fuck out. Like I was watching, what the hell was I just watching? Oh, White House Down with Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx. And there is a brilliant part in that movie, which, from watching that movie, and I also watched Olympus Has Fallen, I definitely think out of those two White House movies being compromised, Olympus Has Fallen is way better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind the comedy and some of the humor in White House Down, but this is that when you have a movie about the White House being taken over, it needs to be treated seriously. It shouldn't be comedy sprinkled throughout it.
We don't need Die Hard in the White House.
Right. Like, give me... Well, no, because... Like, Die Hard is serious. It just has, like, moments that maybe
in the later ones, they went way too much to the comedy.
They absolutely did. In the first two, they were very serious with... Like, the little things that were funny, that weren't necessarily funny, is the fact that he's running around barefoot.
Right.
Okay, like
and the quips that he did in the first couple of ones are something that an alcoholic cop would say.
Right, like...
Afterwards, it just started getting ridiculous.
I don't find it... chuckle funny. I find it like... Yeah. Come up... Or what does he say? Come up to the roof, they said. It'd be... Or however he says it. It's like...
Come to the Christmas party. It'll be fun.
They said. You'll have a good time, they said. You know, and I'm like... That's not funny, but it's funny.
Or like the banter between him and Samuel L. Jackson, the racist jokes.
The racist shit.
You would get would happen, you know.
Right.
But,
and it's not trying to be funny, but it's just, it is what it is. Like, I feel like Olympus Has Fallen was treated like a Stallone movie.
Yeah.
Very, let's treat it as it is. Like, Gerard Butler's not going to be Ryan Reynolds making funny quips. You know what I mean? Treat him as such, like a serious guy. Like, he says things in it that are smart-ass funny, but that a normal person would say or react that way.
To deflect from what's going on.
Yeah, like, in White House Down, James Wood is the villain in it. Spoiler alert. And I'm a huge James Woods fan. I think it's great that he got a movie like that, honestly. I believe it was him that said it in the movie. He says... He's yelling at the girl, Channing Tatum's daughter, and he's telling her, and it's quick. I mean, it's not like it's a moment where they're having FaceTime. It's explosions just happen. He's running out of there, and he grabs her. He's like, let's get going. I'm going to punch you right in the face. And it's like, that's funny to me. Not because I'm endorsing child abuse, but it's the idea of a full-grown man who's in fear of his life is yelling at a child as he has a gun, let's get going. I'm just gonna punch you right in the face. It's like, all right, that would scare me as a kid just enough. Instead of like dragging them on or putting the gun to their head, it just was
because the gun's gonna make you freeze.
Right. And that's something I would say to if I was in a moment like that. I'm like, I will punch you right in the face if you don't. Let's get going.
Yep.
You know, like, and I don't even know what the fuck the point of this whole story was, but I just thought it was funny and without being on the nose funny.
Right.
Like I'm trying to think of something that happened in that movie that was just like, really? And I know there was.
Like Mel Brooks breaking the fourth wall, kind of funny, just because you can do it.
If that's the style of the movie, absolutely.
Right.
But, like, I don't know, because I guess that was kind of humorous. There were a lot of parts in it, though, where I just wasn't... I don't know. I don't even know what the point of any of that was. Movies. Just movies. I wanted to talk about movies.
Off the rails.
Who are all those colored folk with Obi?
They were members of the Dallas Cowboys.
Don't they know he's a racist?
Booker T knows he's coming for him.
And I gotta say one thing. Fuck you, New Day, for not forgiving Hogan. That's just ignorant. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
That's stupid. Like, I feel like anybody can say anything they want. It depends. If I said, "Hey, Booker T, fuck you," then that's like, wow, dude, what is your problem?
But you know that people say things in private, especially when they don't know that they're being recorded.
And I'm sorry, yet again, if watching, if there could be a double standard, then there needs to be a goddamn double standard, or whatever I'm trying to say. But when I was watching The Mummy 2, they introduced the black guy, that's the pilot, that flies the balloon.
Yep.
And he says, now nobody says in the movie, what's his name? Brendan Fraser doesn't say to his wife, hey, let me introduce you to my black friend.
Right.
Like, I got a guy, right? But the black guy can then say, oh, we were gunned down in somewhere, and I get my ass all shot up, and next thing I know, I see white boy over here walking around with his woman. It's like, I'm not offended by that, but if we said, if Rick O'Connell's character said, well, we were getting shot up, but I couldn't find his black axe anywhere because he was busy getting drunk. Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
Twitter would explode.
Right. Yep. Like, what the fuck is that double standard bullshit? I'll tell you what, one of the coolest things, and one of the best things I was ever part of, was Lance... I want to say Storm, but it's not Lance Storm. Who was the guy that Shawn Michaels trained?
Lance Cade.
Lance Cade. I couldn't think of him. I want to say Lance Storm, and then I want to say Lance Hoyt. So Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, redneck tag team group, right? Rest in peace there, Cade. I was at a house show. They were going against Crime Time. Crime Time's Black Gangster tag team. Rest in peace, Shad, right? So you get Crime Time out in the crowd taking pictures with everybody. And then you get Cade. You get your black asses in this ring so we can beat them up and down this apron, right? It's not offensive. Why is that not offensive? Well, let me tell you, because they're characters. Because they're characters. One, well, two. You're going to say two because there's a pair. But one group are Southern redneck. Okay? That's a character. The other group are Northeast black gangsters. Why would you not have that racial divide with characters?
Yep.
Okay? When Hogan was going against Iron Sheik, or even Sergeant Slaughter for that matter, when Sergeant Slaughter turned and became an Irani sympathizer or whatever, I could only imagine the heat that truly garnered from that back in the 80s.
He got
right?
death threats for that. Yep.
Okay. But do you understand why they did it?
Right.
They didn't do it because, well, let's offend people.
Right. They did it because it knew it would generate controversy.
Which that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get attention.
Yep.
When Jack Swagger became We the People, and you had Zeb Coulter sneaking across the borders, right? Now, he didn't say the Mexicans. I mean, he did after a while. He would specify. But that's when they were feuding with Del Rio.
Yep.
Yes, you can make it personal, which you could do that, say, I'm a white guy and I'm going to come out as a champ. Ain't no black man ever going to beat me. Well, that's personal. Why do you have to say it like that?
Right. But to play off of things
A
that are actually...
character.
Right.
A character. Like, if it was Big Boss Man hanging Ahmed Johnson from that steel cage, one could question what are we doing?
Right.
Could people get offended that who was it that was hung from it? Or it was Boss Man that got hung from it. I'm sorry. But it was Boss Man that got hung from it, but people could still get upset. Well, it was a noose. Well, so what? A noose is affiliated with racism. No, it isn't. Go back and watch Westerns.
Nobody was complaining when Farouk hung Hawk with a noose at WrestleMania.
Just saying. So it's literally, man. It's everything is from people's perspective. I want to be pissy about this.
Yep.
And what was the main thing of this whole fucking?
I don't even remember. You were talking about White House Down, and then we kind of got off onto
whatever
other things.
I like these conversations though because it does spark conversation. It gets the idea out there of whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't watch news because I don't like the narratives that they all try to sprinkle across the world. I like to get
on both sides.
On both sides. Oh, absolutely. Both sides. You know what? I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even going to say both sides because there are so many news outlets out there now, not even just on TV, but on TV, but on the internet. And all of them have their own agenda. Whether it's, I know Alex Jones isn't around anymore, but whether it would be him with his conspiracies or whatever, everybody has their own agenda. All news outlets. I like to take bits and pieces, see who is, I guess, taking the same stories I'm hearing, how they're re-editing them and putting them back out there for people to hear. Because if I listen to 5 news outlets, and 3 of them are pretty goddamn close, and 2 of them are just so out there that it's like those 2 aren't even close, I'm not going to pick one out of those 3, but I'll base my opinion off of those 3 collectively.
Yeah.
That's how I like to come up with my own news or my own personal idea, because I'm a Trump supporter, but if I didn't, like I expressed to you, if I don't express to you where my limits are on that, you can just take that as however you want.
Right.
And that's how
that you believe everything you know, yeah.
And that's the problem we have as a society of just jumping the gun. Oh, you support him? Well, then you're already this. Or you support her? Well, then you're that. It's like, no. I mean, I don't support Hillary Clinton. I never will. I don't care if she was even on the side I base my personal opinions with. I don't agree with her to anything. Like anything. Where Trump, yes, there are more things I agree with than disagree with. But there are things I absolutely disagree with. Absolutely. But that's the problem. Again, if you don't get the chance to explain yourself in today's society, it's complete jump down your throat.
Yep. Because
there's no understanding. It's, you already don't agree with me, so that means we're already enemies. That's not it at all. Like, let's come together and figure out a common idea. Like, oh, okay, well, you don't like this and I don't like that, but I like this and you like that. See how we just connected? And I feel like we're lost as a society.
And the 24-hour news cycle feeds it way too much. It's not always news. A lot of it is entertainment too. It's got to be talking heads just to get people to watch, and then some of it is based on fact, but not all of it.
I watch a lot of videos, and you might have seen the videos, but the memes definitely. This guy's like the meme queen of the. I can't think of a topic right now, but I'll make up something. MCU is better than DC. Changed my mind. The guy sitting at the table drinking the coffee. I can't remember his name for the life of me. I feel bad because I do watch a lot of his stuff. But I watch a lot of the videos that And his thing isn't necessarily to offend people. It's to just spark a conversation.
Right. And that's the thing, is conversation is the bad word.
Is the bad word.
Yep.
And his thing was, I can't remember what the video was or the topic, but he basically is asking, what are women's rights and why do you think you should be held at a higher level than anyone else? Or something like that. And I know I'm butchering it, and that's just paraphrasing it. But he's asking all these women, well, and they're getting completely pissed off because, one, enough of them said this, well, you're a man, and that's already the problem. No, shouldn't that be a solution? A man wanting to know?
To understand.
To understand. And you're just taking it as snarky sarcasm, like, he's only doing this to make fun of us. Okay, but your presentation of that is being presented as such of ignorance. Like, again, I've said it before. Caitlyn Jenner was on the Piers Morgan show. Now, I don't agree with him a lot of the time at all because he likes to go for the jugular. He absolutely goes for the throat with questions. He doesn't like to figure... But, give him the fucking benefit of the doubt because in this goddamn interview, he actually fucking did what he should have done. What a pussy-ass fucking choke slam. Don't drop to your fucking knees. So, he asks Caitlyn, so, like, you clearly have had surgery. What is... Other than what we know has changed, what, hormones-wise, how does your body hold up? Completely got offended. Well, you don't need to ask questions like that. That's rude. Well, I'm only asking because I don't understand.
Right.
I want... And this is the time, this is the place to get that information out there. IRS. To get that information out there, to help people understand it. So they're not asking you an offensive way of, you still got a dick? How did that work?
I'm trying to do it civil and, yeah.
And considerate.
Yep.
But like you said, the conversation is the enemy. We want to, and I'm not saying this in the sense of transgender people, but anybody that feels like they're being segregated, held down, whatever, it's a big ass. You can't expect to be treated differently and then get upset when you are. You know what I mean? Like, did Hogan win? Or was it a DQ?
I don't know. I think it might have been a DQ.
And what the fuck kind of chairs are those?
Right? Balsa wood fucking chairs.
I like that they pulled his pants down and then pulled them back up.
Yeah, right. That was, yeah. I mean, this to me, it feels like an end to Nitro.
Yes.
It's not the way...
Because where are the WCW guys?
Right.
Coming out and helping him.
Yeah. And if I was the Giant, I'd be like, where the fuck were you people last night? You were in the crowd. Why is nobody helping me?
I'm defecting.
Right.
I'm going to go to the NWO.
Right. Why is nobody... DDP just, said he didn't want the shirt. Why isn't he in here diamond cutting everybody?
You get Anderson to come out here and count a 3 count.
Right.
But I can't get Arn Anderson to come give me a fucking spine buster or help me out.
Yeah. The Steiners can't come out and start suplexing some motherfuckers? Like, what the hell?
Right.
It's logic. It's using...
Well, let me tell you something. There is no such thing in wrestling as logic. I tell you. Because if it made sense, then it didn't make dollars. And it didn't make sense, so this pay-per-view must have made dollars.
Because, I mean, the amount of guys that wrestled and that were in the crowd could have made a stand right now.
I would have rather have seen the guys that were in the crowd wrestle than the guys that wrestled.
That's true.
No offense to Double J, because he was probably the better of the jobbers, essentially. And I mean, DDP, he's just in a different... But
I would have rather seen a tag match with Haku and Barbarian against 2 of the guys that wrestled, than those singles matches.
Yep. And like I said, make that fucking ladder match a fatal 4-way with Shanzo, or whatever his name was, Jericho, Guerrero, and 6-Pac.
And Guerrero did win the ladder match, by the way.
Yes, he did. Which he went out into the crowd with the WCW guys and celebrated.
Yep.
Come on, people. Come on. But that ends it for the 1997 nWo sold out #1 of 1.
Not horrible, but not that great either.
No, it didn't even do anything to like progressively like shock and awe the next night.
Yeah. Other than the tag title change, which was going to be a storyline, but
Right.
you know, they had good times and real bad times with the nWo, and that was
Is it
not
really
one
8
of their-
o'clock?
Yeah.
How is that 4 hours?
Well, I drove you.
Well, yeah, you got here at 4:30.
You know.
I'm just looking at the time. Oh my fuck. But yeah, I mean, I didn't love this pay-per-view. I wouldn't have loved it even if I saw it when it happened. So
Right.
it's not like that changes the fact of now to then. But I also enjoy watching the old WCW stuff that I didn't get to watch. I clearly am an nWo mark. I mean, we've met a majority of nWo guys from Scott, from the original 3, Hogan, Nash, Hall, to you met Scott Norton, we met 6-Pac.
Trying to think of other guys that were in it. Well, you could say Beefcake, but
DiBiase we met,
DiBiase.
IRS we met. Luger. Sting.
Yeah. No, a lot of guys from the nWo. Of course, they had a shit ton
They
of
had a
guys
shit
in
ton
it.
of
So.
meat. There's got to be one more. We got to say one more before we can end this. We got to get one more nWo guy in there. Don't look him up. This is all on the top of our head. These people that listen to us think we're fucking professional.
Wow. Who else from nWo? Fuck, man, I can't think of. Trying to like go through the Rolodex of fucking guys that we've met.
I got one.
Uh-oh.
And I'm just gonna say it. Shawn Michaels.
Okay, well then you can go Booker T if you're going with that.
I don't remember Booker T being part of an nWo.
Yeah, it was with the Shawn Michaels part.
Was it?
Yeah. They picked him to be part of it once.
I don't even really remember Shawn Michaels being in it. I just remember him having a shirt on.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the story or nothing. I truly don't. There's got to be one legit more. We can't end this. I don't care if this is another 6 hours. There's got to be one more.
Is there one more from the nWo? Damn. I'm literally trying to go through guys that were in it. Bagwell! There you go.
Buff Bagwell. He's buff, he's tough, and he's got this stuff. I don't know what it is.
What stuff he's got, I don't know, but I don't
It'll
want to know.
juice you up. So there we go. God damn it, my neighbor's downstairs cooking. His grill is right outside this window, and it just comes up here. I made steaks last night, and they came out like dog shit. I didn't take anything out to make tonight for dinner. Now I'm really upset because I'm starving. So, on that note.
Alright. Well, then, this has actually been fun. We kind of went off the rails a little bit, but I'm Deadly Dave.
I'm not going to say my name. They know who I am.
Well, and on that then.
I'm Ace Williams, baby!